It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Is that good? Is a teacher bladder a good bladder?
Yeah, because you can't really leave your room. So you gotta, it's like...
Makes sense.
Yeah, you don't get to leave very often.
No.
So you just...
Because chaos ensues.
Yeah, you can't leave them unsupervised.
That's like when you get excited when another teacher comes to talk and you're like, 1 sec, can you watch my kids?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Yep.
All right, welcome back to Sci-Fi and Friends podcast, number 86. I know the number this time. Last time I didn't know. No real updates. I was going to ask you about your title.
Okay.
Because you have several.
I have several. What title you want?
So what I wrote down is Kayla Green, former public school teacher. Obviously, you're involved with Educate Kansas.
Yes.
Greenbush.
Yes.
Educators Rising.
Yes.
And probably
School
your
board.
church and you're a school board.
And all the boards. Do you want me to just list everything I do?
I'm going to have to, yes. So welcome Kayla Green to the podcast, and she's going to tell us her titles.
Okay, so my main title, my main source of income and livelihood is Educate Kansas, and I am the project coordinator.
Excellent.
And it's kind of weird the way that we are. We are run through TASN, which is a KSDE organization, and we report to the Kansas State Department of Education. But then all of our insurance and employee type things run through Greenbush. So we report to 3 different people.
Interesting.
It is very interesting.
Wait, how many people work for Educate Kansas?
Just Chris and I.
Okay,
so it's
just
only
the
2
two.
of us for the entire state.
Wow.
So we really book it. So
You have the East, she has the West.
It's how it was before, but now it's kind of different. So she's kind of done some different things, and I prefer to be in the schools. That's where I prefer to be. So the video shoots now are all me. Like unless
really?
yeah,
Whoa.
unless it's like western Kansas. Like one of the shoots, it was going to take her 4 hours, and it was going to take me like 7 or 8. So she took that. Yeah. But other than that, yeah.
Okay.
So that's me.
So Educate Kansas project manager, you say?
Project coordinator.
Project coordinator. What else we have?
So then I'm the marketing director for Grow at Eden. So I get to
Are you really?
Yeah. Yeah,
represent.
repping. Yeah, I didn't even know. You didn't tell me I was going to be on video. So good thing I did my
you
hair.
Assumed. I thought you watched my podcast.
I
so.
listened to it because I thought you're supposed to listen to podcasts.
That is an option. You can listen.
I didn't. I watch TV and interviews. I listen to.
See, that's kind of like, I know the age group, like young people. Well, actually.
I think you're calling me old.
No. No, well, maybe not the age. Like, I know where you get like your entertainment from, because people like that I talk to, like Kill Tony.
Yeah.
Do you listen to Kill Tony or do you watch Kill Tony? That tells me a lot about you, which one you decide to do.
Yeah, it takes a lot for me to sit and watch something.
That's true. That makes sense.
So yeah, it's really not. Yeah.
Well, yes.
So
you're on camera for 3 hours.
Oh God. So I do Grow at Eden marketing there, and I enjoy that. And I kind of got roped into that because it was my best friend from grade school. But now she's got 3 locations. So we are Iola, Parsons, and then she's getting ready to open up a huge one in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
And then Ed Rising, I am the student ambassador, so I'm in charge of the officers for that. And Ed Rising is a teacher pathway. And it's a national organization as well. So I will go to Florida this summer and present at the national conference on building your bench. So
building your bench?
That's what I call it. So like you're building your bench for your next teachers to go in, so as teachers retire or leave, you've got kids in high school that are going to come up and take those ranks. So
interesting.
Yeah, and then
you're on a school board.
I'm the vice president of the school board in Parsons. Yep. So I do that for fun and kicks and giggles. And Stella Wells is an organization that does like these huge Christmas baskets. We make 800 food boxes for the town and gifts for the kids. And I'm on the executive board for that. And I'm in charge of the groceries and the packing of the boxes. Me and another person. Okay, yep, Dave Winchell. He's an older gentleman. And so he's passing the torch to me.
Wow.
Yeah, for the last couple of years. He's fantastic. He does everything. I do praise and worship, part of that group at church.
What church?
I go to Foursquare in Parsons.
Okay.
It's Pentecostal, but I'm not Pentecostal. They don't ever do like denomination type things, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else I do for fun.
Well, I'm glad you listed your titles because I only knew, a handful of those.
Yeah. So I'm busy a lot.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you're here, that you made some time.
Thank you. I do marketing for teachers like me too.
What's that?
So that is an organization up in Kansas City, and they recruit teachers of color, and then they put them through college. They get extra PD. They give them housing to live in, and so that is kind of just my volunteer type side. It was a professor of mine that I had in college, and she was the first Black teacher I ever had. And I thought that was just the coolest. So then whenever she left Pitt State, she went on to be a superintendent up at like KCK.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but now they recruit nationwide. So they go to all the HBCUs and recruit and bring them in. So if it's a big project, she'll throw some money at me. But I do it for volunteer because I think it's important.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of teachers of color in the whole United States, and it's even worse in Kansas. I think it's 2% in Kansas, and that's any minority.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But Kansas, you know, it's a
Well, it's only. I think
Kansas.
it's only 4% nationwide.
Oh, wow.
So it's
there
not.
is
It's bad. Yeah,
Interesting.
it's bad. It's a need. Yeah, and part of it is like you learn better from teachers that look like you.
Really?
Yeah. So statistically proven, like actually, white and Black kids learn better from a Black educator, and that's like a study. Like, I think it was Harvard or something. I don't know. I'd have to pull it up. But
Does sex
one of the things.
matter in that?
Nope.
No. Just interesting.
yes.
Huh.
Yep. For some reason, kids do like tend to listen on an authoritative level to males a little bit easier.
Right.
And I don't know why that is.
Scared. Like that like dominating force of like discipline or whatever.
Maybe.
If I don't listen, not scared, I guess, but like, you know, there could be repercussions.
And that, I would say, let me backtrack. That would be initially, whenever they figure out that either, you know, like that, because at first they'll be like, oh, there's a male, but then they figure out I can walk all over him, I can do whatever. You know, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But
Or too much. Like I had a male teacher in grade school, and he was a good teacher. I think I don't think he's gonna listen to this, but he had maybe like some anger issues, and so like when that went too far, then I kind of lost respect of like, well, I'm not gonna listen to you now. I was, and now I'm out.
yeah, and if you have good classroom management, you have good classroom management.
Yeah.
I could run a room and it didn't matter.
Right,
Like,
but
I
it
could
was
run
fifth
better than
grade.
any male.
It was fifth grade, and me in fifth grade, and my friends in fifth grade, like God bless whoever taught us, you know, because we were different animals.
I think, I always did better with the feisty ones.
Well, I wasn't really feisty.
No, just like energetic and creative and.
Sure, yeah, we could say that.
I don't know. I spent a lot of time on the wall.
Me too.
I was at Taped Off Island in first grade.
I did not like getting in trouble. Like when I was a kid, I did not like getting in trouble at all. So I was a pretty good kid, but I was sneaky.
See, and I wasn't any of that. I just couldn't control myself to sit down and pay attention and be
So
quiet.
you've been like that your whole life.
My whole life.
Huh.
My whole life. Yeah. As a punishment, as like a toddler, you know, you do like your parents would put you in timeout or send you to your room.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I enjoyed that because I would make a stage or I would, you know, play in my room for hours. It was no big deal. So my punishment was to sit in the living room in a chair in the middle of the living room, and I couldn't touch anything and couldn't move.
In the middle of the living room,
In the
like
middle of
you're
the
just
living room.
isolated.
And I wasn't allowed to sing.
from all. So what you
Or
just
talk,
suffered?
because I would make up my own plays and I'd make up I'd do
What were you getting in trouble for? Just harmless things like get your hand off the oven. It's hot.
I was pretty strong-willed, so it was like,
Okay.
oh, I really want to do this. I want to do
Yeah.
that, but I wasn't like outright,
Right.
you know, like
Right.
I'm gonna break something. It
Right.
was, you know, like
Something
hey,
like harmless.
like Kayla, I want you to wait to try to, you know, cut these things, and I'd be like, I'm good, and I would do it anyways. I really want to do it right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Well, we have a lot to talk about.
Oh God.
So you're involved in all those different things, and a lot of those obviously have some sort of pattern to them being education. Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about like the beginning. What led you there into that realm of education? Was that always your path? Did you study veterinarian and then like, no, that's not for me, and then shoot over? Or
No, when I was a kid, and you're too young for this, but I was either going to be a teacher or be on Kids Incorporated, and you were too young for that show.
No, it's
But
a show.
it was a
Okay.
show. It was like on Disney, and it's where Stacey Ferguson, like from the Black, that's where she's got her start. So I used to watch her as a kid on
Okay.
Kids Incorporated.
What's the show about?
Oh, they danced and they
Oh,
sang, and it was like a performing show.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was like
American Idol, but for kids?
kind of. They had little skits and stuff that went with it.
Like
So
Saturday Night
it was
Live.
like kind of, but
Okay.
kid version.
Amanda show.
Yeah, but not so cheesy. Yeah, not so cheesy.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was going to either do that or teach. I always liked the idea of being a teacher. I would play school all the time.
Yeah.
But then I started getting in trouble, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then I had a second grade teacher who was just as ADHD as I am, and she was fantastic and wore the coolest tennis shoes every day. And she was just, we'd be up there teaching and talking, and then she'd be moving on to something else. And she was fantastic. And I thought, okay, this is a difference.
Right. She matched your energy.
Yeah, I want to be. And I was struggling. I was behind in reading and math. I was like having to go to summer school, and I was devastated. Wow. And she actually figured out, she's like, she doesn't really need summer school, but she's only picking up a fourth of the lesson. So while they're teaching, 3/4 of the time, her mind is someplace else. And then a fourth of the time, she's picking it up. So once I was able to like sit down and focus and get it, I was fine.
Sure.
So yeah, and then growing up, I just had some really good teachers. And I thought, I want to do this. I want to teach. And then I did. So I never, for a minute, I thought I might do nursing. And I became a CNA.
Yeah.
You
did? Wow.
During high school and some of college, because in Parsons, if you worked at the hospital, your LCC tuition was free.
Excellent.
So I was like, all right, we'll try it out.
Yeah.
We'll try it out. My mom's a nurse, maybe. And I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, because needles and blood were never really my thing. But yeah, no.
It's a good option. A lot of people do it.
It was also less school.
Really?
Yeah, you can get a 2-year nursing degree.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
right,
now
right.
that's not, so you still can be an RN, but you can get your bachelor's in nursing too, but you can get just your RN so I thought, okay, maybe. That's the only thing I thought about, but.
Did you you worked in the hospital for a little bit, and you're like.
Yeah, I was on the surgical floor, and then I didn't like it. It was too quiet.
Too quiet?
Yeah, because when people get out of surgery, they're like quiet coming
Right.
out of it. And like knee replacements, that's before you would get them up directly. They did like this machine. You'd put them on that or something. Yeah. And it was too quiet. So then I went to the second floor.
Very
the
interesting.
second floor, because I was like, oh my gosh. Because people sat there, or, it was very peaceful. And I was like, oh, these are long nights. So then I moved to the second floor. It was called 2 North. Nobody wanted to be on 2 North because it was crazy. Because you would get
ER?
Young people. That's where they would come from, the ER. They'd ship them straight there.
Oh.
So if they made it through ER, that's where they went. So you'd have young people, you'd have older people, you would have whatever the gamut was. And it was fast moving and it was quick. And people were in and out, in and out. Well, I did better in that. So I loved that.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was way better. It was fast paced and it was good.
But the call of teaching still is there. Yeah. And then it's interesting that you said, I had really great teachers and I wanted to be like them, because the way we know each other is that I work with you on Educate Kansas videos. And one of the questions that you like to ask is to the students, why do you want to become a teacher?
Yeah.
Well, and the teachers too, and the administration. Why did you become a teacher? And the answer is almost universal.
They want to make a difference.
They always will say, I had a teacher that touched me, or I had several teachers, or the teachers that I can think of that inspired me. I want to be like them. Yeah. It's almost every single time.
Yeah. If you think about it, though, as a kid, where do you spend most of your time? You spend it at school. You don't spend it with your parents. You're with the teacher more of the day than you are at home.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever you have a good teacher that you've made a connection with, that's a huge chunk of that year of your life.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity to really be impactful or be impacted. But
yeah, and I mean, those teachers are with you on some of the most pivotal moments of your life. You're going through, my boyfriend broke up with me, or I didn't make the team, or whatever, and like that teacher is there, and so they have that impact on you. And also, a lot of times, a family member, a parent tries to tell you something, and then you don't listen.
For sure.
But then another male figure or female figure that represents those positions will say the same thing in the same way, and it just hits you differently. So
yeah, I experienced that with my teenagers at home. Yep.
Yeah, it's very common. I don't understand why that happens, but it happens.
It's because your parents don't know anything. Of course they don't know. They don't get you. They don't understand you. Don't you remember? They don't know what it's like to live in my time, in my life, and whatever. And then you figure out, oh, you do know.
Yeah. Not only do they know, like they know more than what you think that they know. Ever. And I was always thinking, oh, I got away with that. And then I think back, now I'm like, oh my God, there's no way. I was just so blatant with this thing that they how did they not know? Of course they did, So,
But sometimes you got to let kids fail a little bit. But
no, it's good. That's good.
yeah, but no. So teaching has always been my gig, and then I went and got my master's degree, and I taught multiple things. So I taught third grade my first year, and that was whenever budget cuts, kind of what the budget's doing now, is what it did when I first started teaching. So everybody went into RIF, which is reduction. Okay, which is reduction in force. So everybody went into reduction in force, and I made the cut, which is huge because schools were cutting like crazy.
What year was that?
That was 2008.
Oh, great year.
Yeah.
It's very similar right now.
Yeah, very similar. So I made it through. So I was teaching third grade, and they're like, well, now you're going to teach fourth grade. Well, I was just happy to have a job, so I didn't care. But the cool part was I got to loop with my kids. So loop means you keep the same kids. So your first year of teaching, they could be the god-awful worst kids in the world, but they are your first babies.
Yeah.
So they are precious. You know, and I look back now and I'm like, oh my gosh, they were little turds, but but they were my babies.
Yeah.
So I got to keep them for 2 years. So as a teacher, that's a really cool experience to keep your first class because they are just so special to you. And all my years of teaching, when I was in a classroom, I never took down my picture of my first class. I had it framed in every classroom I was in. It was a reminder of that joy. Like when you get your own classroom, it's the best thing ever. You're so excited. Probably like how when you got your first big camera that you really wanted, you know, you're like, oh, this is it. This is happening. So, yeah. So I did that, and I taught fourth grade for 5 or 6 years. And then I love math. That was the area I struggled the most in school. But what I loved is getting kids that aha moment like I had. So it was whenever I could make them understand and make math fun. Because math is supposed to be hands-on. If you're not in school playing with manipulatives to do math, if you're not doing a project every chapter or 2 chapters in math, then you're missing the boat because that's how you teach math and you make it real life and applicable. So then I thought, okay, this middle school position opened up. So I applied in the same district. I never left the district. I loved my district.
What district is this?
Parsons, 503.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we're actually one of the rougher districts in the state. Just due to our demographics, we have a lot of foster kids in our system, and we have a high needs population. So, and I think we're 80% free and reduced lunch. So we're a pretty high poverty area too.
Is 80% high? I have to unplug this fridge real
It's
quick.
very high.
Oh, that's very high.
So what district were we in last week? Prairie View. So Prairie View, she's like, oh, we're at 50%.
Which is, that's not no big deal.
That's laughable.
Okay.
For me.
Because she acted like it
Yeah.
was.
Well, for them it is. But whenever you've taught somewhere where it's like 60, I think when I started it was like 65 or 70.
And you said Parsons is 80?
Like 79, I think.
Wow.
I think. So,
Is there some reason that is the case? Is there like something that draws that to the area, or
I don't know. I don't really. I mean, I have no idea.
That's just Parsons,
and it's generational. It's like a generational poverty. So, you know, your parents. Oh well, this is how it was, and then this is how it is for me, and kind of goes on. And then as far as like the foster care, we have a couple homes in town that take boys and girls.
Okay.
Group homes. Yeah, and one like. Whenever I taught, there was only one, and it was a fantastic place, really good for the kids, you know, but the clientele is hard because these kids have had trauma.
Sure.
They're upset and they're struggling. So it can be difficult. So, that's kind of the demographic of Parsons. So but I liked it because I felt like I made a really good impact. Like if I was going to make a difference, I was going to make a difference here.
Yeah.
So then I went and taught 6th grade math, and I did that for 6 years. And during that time,
Aren't we already 6 years
5
in?
or 6. Oh yeah. Well, I did 4th grade. I taught for 15 years.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know I'm old, Colton.
No,
Forget that.
no.
My Botox makes me look younger, but
It helps.
yeah,
Kelsey tells me about it all the time.
yeah, love it. So I, after cancer, I was done with state assessments. So state assessments, if you're a teacher that teaches a tested area, you live and die by that test for a certain amount of time because they review your scores. It used to be like they were looking at funding based off of it, or, you know, that's a measure of your performance, even though it's really not. But, so the state assessment scores were big. So you would work and work and work, and the pressure.
What
and the
were
pressure.
they called? Didn't they have like a name?
They're just state assessments. They used to be Iowa Basic Skills Tests.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and that was like what we took.
I remember that.
Yeah, and so then No Child Left Behind came in, and then the state assessments came in, and I came in on that wave too.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we did all that, and then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to teach math anymore. I like math, but I don't want to be stressed out by this test. I didn't want to be controlled by that test.
Right.
I think because I didn't have much control over my life at that time. When you're sick, you don't. And I was like, no, that's it. I don't want to do this. I just want to have fun every single day. So I went and got an endorsement for Family and Consumer Sciences, and then moved to teach Family and Consumer Science and Media and Graphic Productions. And I started a newscast. I need to show you
awesome.
these. So the kids would make a newscast every week, and on Friday they would do the announcements, and they were virtual announcements.
That's
they would
cool.
do stories throughout the week and everything. It was really cool.
What was it called?
Media and Graphic Productions, and it was the Viking News. It was just Viking
Yeah,
News.
that's awesome. We had Channel 1, which was cool. We had Channel 1, and then when I got to Channel 1 ceased to exist, so I never got to do it. But it was cool, like as a younger person watching my older peers, like, I don't know, interview a new teacher and stuff. But,
Yeah. So
it was cool.
Yeah, so we got to do that, and I got to start that, and we did yearbook pictures, and we did yearbook too. But
That's a big deal.
it was.
That's a big deal.
It was, and then I was like, okay, so I got my master's degree.
And this is
It was about
all
time.
Parsons.
All Parsons.
Wow.
Yeah, so I moved around, but I needed a challenge every so many years. As
Right.
a teacher, whenever I could walk in and I didn't really need to lesson plan anymore, I'd always try to add like activities and stuff, but I was like, okay, it's time for a change. I never wanted to become stagnant. You've had that teacher that you're like, you've done the same thing every year. I know you're getting tired of it, and I
Sure.
just didn't want to be that.
Yeah. That's beyond teachers too. That's everybody. Yeah.
Yep. So then I got my master's, and one day I was just looking at Greenbush because I was like, I think I want something more challenging again. I'd been there for like 5 or 6 years, and I thought, okay, let's see what we have, and I thought maybe an administrative type of role. I was
Sure.
ready for that, but I didn't want to be a principal.
Right. Not within the system.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be a principal just because my kids, I just adopted my kids, not too long before that.
Like
and
you wanted to be with them more? Or?
yeah, and as a principal, there's a lot of demands on your time
Sure.
and your hours, and you have lots of extracurricular stuff. And I didn't want a job that was going to take away from that, because when you adopt a kid at 7th and 8th grade, you don't have very long.
Right.
Or 6th and 7th grade, I guess. 6th and 7th grade. You don't have very long before they're gone for college. So
Right.
as a parent, you feel a time crunch anyways. But when you start late in the game,
Yeah.
you really feel
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So I found this job. I interviewed for
You would have
it.
made a great principal, by the way.
Thank you. Maybe someday when the kids are gone.
Yeah.
Maybe
Really?
someday.
Go
Yeah.
back, and that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I might agree to do it,
Mm-hmm.
so I can. But yeah, So then I got this job, and I like it because I love teaching, and teaching was getting such a bad rap. Like, oh, teachers. And if you see the news, it's always something a teacher did wrong. Or people say, I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to do this. That's not, that's not a good profession, or these kids.
Right.
But I wanted to be able to kind of spin the conversation to how I feel it is.
Right.
So now I get to do that with our videos and presenting everywhere. And I've gotten to present nationwide a couple times at things. And
What are you mostly, like, what subject matter are you presenting on at those places?
just right now, it's just the teacher pipeline. So how to recruit them and how to retain them.
Because that is an issue.
It's a huge issue. There's a huge shortage, like in Kansas and nationwide. It's huge. In Kansas, last I knew, we had over 2,000 vacancies. And that was like just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, within the state. And if you take, and this is like all levels. So high school, you could teach up to 90 to 100 kids a day easily. But let's just take that 2,000 times 20 kids in a class. That's a ton of kids that don't have a teacher in front of them, or who have a substitute full-time sub in front of them, or you're just trying to fill, and that's not fair to kids.
Is that what happens when those positions don't get filled? They have like a sub, like a long-term
They have a
sub?
sub, or they might have somebody that's like, oh, I think I want to be a teacher. And so sometimes you can be on a waiver, and that's pretty good. But did you have any subs that were that great growing up? Because I sure didn't.
Miss Gilstrap was pretty cool, but she was like cool because we didn't do anything.
Right. Well, they don't have that background
Right.
knowledge,
She was
So
more
if you're
grandma to
there,
us.
if you're there a day or 2 days,
Yeah.
you're going to be great. Somebody left you lesson plans, you're going to be great. But if you're put in that position and you're like, hey, figure out the lesson plans, figure out this, and you have no training, no
Yeah.
skills, it'd be like throwing me into an OR and being like,
Yeah.
well, here's your tools. I know
Which
you've
one should we
probably
use?
seen Grey's Anatomy, but good luck,
Well, there's something to say. Like, your first class you were able to teach all year, and then you were bumped up with them. So now you've seen, I don't know, little Timmy who struggled with math and then overcome all that. Like, and you know his strengths, you know his weaknesses, you know that he doesn't listen very well, but if he sees it, he learns. You know, like all of that. So yes, if a sub does come in, they kind of don't have that context, which is, it's huge. And the only way to get it is just time, being around the kids, learning them, you know, or maybe knowing like one of their siblings or something.
Well, even then they're so different. I mean, I know I'm totally different from my brother. So
right.
I mean, we have some similarities, but we didn't learn the same. We didn't act the same. So,
but just having that context, you know, a sub just can't, they can teach. I mean, they can generically teach.
Yeah, and they're given resources, which is what they're supposed to do.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, what if there's 2,000 vacant jobs? Like, what do we do?
So part of it is having the conversations like this that, hey, education is good. Like, oh gosh, the stories I could tell that are just, you know, those heartwarming stories. Oh, we do have time. We do have time. Yes. But just spending the conversation. Also, people are going to school different. So before, like when I went, you know, I did my JUCO, then I went to Pitt State. I did my student teaching. I went through that whole thing. Now people are doing everything online.
Okay.
You know, so they're wanting alternative programs. And sometimes it's like a para to teacher program where they start as a para and then they move into teaching and they're going to school at the same time. The state of Kansas has addressed the issue by the registered teacher apprentice model. And that is where you are hired by the district as a para or as an aide or as a interventionist. And then you earn your degree while you go. And there's actually grant money that pays for your tuition.
Okay.
And then there's like a scale, a different scale, a pay scale. So as you get more education, you move up. And then from there, you can be in a classroom in like 3 years, you know.
That's faster than a normal route?
Yeah, but your third year, if you're in the classroom teaching, then you're still going to school at the same time.
Okay.
But because you've been in a school for all those years as an apprentice, learning everything as you get up there, it's not like they're throwing you into the deep end of the pool. You've been trained and and then you have a mentor the whole time that's checking in on you on top of your teachers and administration.
Okay. So
that's one solution is let's get you through school. And then a lot of colleges offer alternative programs like Newman University does, Pitt State does, Emporia does, Fort Hays. We have a whole page dedicated on our Educate Kansas website if you would like to check it out, called Alternative Pathways.
At
educatekansas.org.
There you go.
Right. So if you're interested in teaching, go there. So that's kind of the thing too.
Sure.
And then like Educators Rising, that is for high school students that are excited about teaching. So if we can get them, and they even have middle school curriculum if you want to go down that far.
Yeah.
So my bestie Debbie.
Why waste the time?
Yeah, my bestie Debbie is starting a club next year because you can run it as a club for middle school students that want to be into teaching. And they actually have competitions.
Such as?
So you go, there's a regional and a state competition. And so at the regional, you can compete. It could be lesson planning. It could be bulletin boards. It could be administrative type things. It could be like Ed Rising Moment. Yes.
How do you compete in bulletin boards?
Oh, they bring in like these whole things that they've made or like they've done it graphically to show. And they say why they did it, how it adds up, or how it like goes with standards or creativity or motor skills or whatever. And they have to present it that way. So it's like the thought out process. It's not just like, oh, is it cute?
Well, that helps.
Well, yeah, you want it to be cute too, but it needs a purpose.
There's a website or a group. It's like Teachers for Teachers or Teachers Working for Teachers or something like that. Does that ring a bell?
Teachers Pay Teachers?
Perhaps. Kelsey was thinking about doing it to where you can design an entire curriculum theme.
Oh, yes. That's Teachers Pay Teachers.
Teachers Pay Teachers.
And you can make good money off of there.
Well, Kelsey's half of her family's in, teaching or whatever.
Yeah.
So they kind of know. And she's been around it her whole life. But I think she did one when she was working at her old job for, I want to say it was Black History Month. And so she had to make like the outlines of a bulletin board, the art style, take the photos of these people and then animate them. And I mean, it was a whole thing, and it was all in this one folder, this one package.
Yeah, and then you buy it.
And then you buy it, and then you could download it 100 times or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different options you have. Like,
yeah, and I used to put stuff on there.
Like what?
So I did a couple bulletin board things that I did, like for SOL, so student emotional, SEL, sorry. So student emotional learning.
SOL is a little different.
Yeah, that is. That's kind of how I felt sometimes.
Right, yeah, no.
SEL. Do you know how many acronyms are in education?
A lot.
It's ridiculous.
A lot.
So on the school board, I know them because I've been around, but our new people, like, God bless, we have this one, she became, her name is Julie, and she became a board member, and she's like, I don't know these acronyms, so she's made a cheat sheet. And so when new people come, she hands it out. And it's like the most helpful thing. But there are so many.
I notice them more now that I've been around you.
I just start saying them, yeah.
Well, you'll talk with the administrators and the teachers and stuff. I don't know half the stuff you're talking about. But I do recognize, like, oh, there's that.
So since I've been here, I'm like KSTE. So that's the Kansas State Department. I talked to RTA, the registered teacher, apprentice model. And then what else did I do? I don't know. I've done a couple since I've been here already.
Right.
It's just...
We'll put the subtitles at the bottom of the video for people to every time you mention one.
Another acronym.
So we know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I made some good money off of teachers pay teachers, but I never took it out because you can take that money and buy things.
Oh, sure.
And it's not a way, you definitely should not buy this is a public service announcement. Do not buy your whole curriculum from teachers pay teachers. It is a supplemental tool to what is, because your textbooks, those are done by research-based material. So like people that make teachers pay teachers is because they probably needed that supplement in their room. Okay. But it's not your whole curriculum because it's not research-based. It's not tested. It's not, any of those.
So like you're saying, like the curriculum is accurate. For sure, we know it's agreed upon accurate, but the teachers paid teachers might be Wikipedia, quote, quote.
Well, and it could
I
be.
could put my own stuff in there.
It could be, but this is the thing. Like, if I want to use it as like, hey, I've just taught this whole unit over fractions. So I'm going to go to teachers pay teachers, and they have the coolest fraction activity. That's what I'm going to pull in.
I see.
But I'm not going to use it for my whole, I'm not going to get my whole unit of fraction material.
Can you get that off teachers?
Oh, I think you can get anything off there.
Oh, okay.
And here's the thing. So public education is pretty strict about that. Some private sectors or charter schools, they have a little bit more leeway. So some private schools even, they sometimes don't have the funding for, new material all the time. So their textbooks could be super old. So for them, that is like one of the only avenues. But in public education, don't do that, please. Yeah, it's supplemental. It is supplemental, and there's really good supplements on there.
Yeah, no, I encourage her to do it because like her mom's a principal. Her sister teaches middle school. I think she's doing something else now, but within the school.
Y'all have so much education around you, and neither one of you went into education.
No, I never really considered it, but
you should. You're the fan favorite when we go.
Just because I'm a different, like I'm a large man, a hairy man. Like you don't see that in public school very often. And I also have earrings and tattoos.
Yeah, but
you might see that more and more nowadays.
Right, but I don't even think that's it because I look over there and I have pictures of you like showing the kids the camera. And
well, I like to teach.
Right,
I like to teach, but I don't want to be confined to the system. Like I like to teach online and stuff. Like I like new technology and whatnot.
I know, but you could totally do like a video productions and graphics class or whatever at a high school, and you have so much autonomy.
I could, or I could do it on YouTube and have ultimate autonomy. Probably won't get paid as much unless everyone watches my video.
And they provide insurance and retirement.
Yeah. I have Bitcoin for my retirement, so I'm good.
That and your Pokemon stuff.
No, yeah. Hey, I got some nice cards in my collection. That's the problem is I have these really nice cards, and I'm like, well, I'm never going to sell them.
Nope.
I'll just bury them with me.
Nope, you're not liquidating.
No, I'm not. Yeah, that's because there are 2,000, approximately 2,000 open positions in Kansas for teachers. And I know we've talked about this a little bit, but for the people watching and listening, what are other reasons? I mean, one of the things that comes to mind is pay. You always hear teachers aren't paid enough.
They aren't, and that used to be number one. The pay used to be number one. So, for example, whenever I talk to districts, we talk about we'll make them an infographic of why you should work here. You're hiring. So I always ask base salary. Your base salary in your rural areas is between 40 to 47. Okay, for a year. If you go to the cities, you're going to get more, but the cost of living is also more too. Right. So my first contract I signed, I looked back at it the other day. $30,000, and I thought I was living big. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah,
Holy cow.
Yeah, exactly. because you come from college money, which is nothing.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah. But
It's a contract. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not even like a paycheck. It's a contract.
it is.
It feels different.
It is. You have to sign it.
Yeah,
And if
right.
you break it, you have to pay to get out
You know
of
who
it.
signs contracts? Professional athletes.
They don't.
That's how I would feel.
I would like to. Yeah, I would if I would make 300,000 or 3 million, but 30.
Yeah, it's money.
It is. It was. But like for example, in Parsons, our starting salary right now is $45,500.
Just do like what you teach and what grade level does that
No.
change? Just
No.
I teach 6th grade biology.
Doesn't matter. You
40.
teach kindergarten, 45,500. Now, if
Okay.
you have more education, every
what's
school
gonna
has a
unlock
step.
doors.
It's called a step and a column. So your columns are your education.
Okay.
So you could be like a bachelor's plus 12, bachelor's plus 24, bachelor's plus 60, and then you can go up to your master's. And each time you're going to move over on a column.
What's plus the numbers plus 60?
So that's college education.
okay. What's
so-
60 hours? I guess
60
I
hours, yeah.
gotcha.
So you can do those and you can move across. And then your those are your columns. And then your steps are your years of experience.
Okay.
Some salaries, like if you start with a bachelor's, you're going to have to get college credit because you have to relicense. So let's say the furthest you get, a lot of times it stops at 45. So you get bachelor's plus 45. You'll go down your steps of years, but then a lot of times you bottom out. So then you're going to stay the same unless they add money to the base
Okay.
salary. But you get to move for that. And then you can have supplements. So if you coach, if you have clubs, but again, that's more time.
Right.
So,
A lot. Coaching, I mean, a lot.
Yes, a
Or
lot.
clubs would be a lot too.
Yeah, exactly. So you get stipends for that. So like when I did yearbook, I got a stipend.
Okay.
It was like $500
Oh, wow. That's not
for the
enough.
year.
Yeah.
No,
that's
it's
enough.
not. Yeah. So they're never enough. So teachers, they don't get enough pay. I think right now, I just redid my PD for this, and I think it said in Kansas the median income that it takes for one parent and one child to live comfortably, like really, and not like extravagantly. Let's just live like not
Just
paycheck to paycheck.
baseline.
That's like baseline. You have a modest house. You have
Right.
a used car. We're buying groceries.
Yeah.
It was like 55,000. Well, I just told
After
you
taxes.
Huh?
After taxes.
I don't know. Just
I'm assuming, yeah.
I'm assuming, but I mean, I just told you the first that you started as a teacher, you're 45,500, so you're like 10,000 under
Right.
what you should be. So pay, but teachers never do it for the pay. We do it because it's a calling.
Right.
Like that's legit. So the pay, but it does hurt because more and more is added to your plate. Kids are not getting easier; they're getting tougher from lack of parenting, social media. I mean, when we were in school, we didn't deal with phones in school. Our
Yeah.
teachers didn't deal with that. Now
Right.
you're having to deal with that. And then what somebody snapped last night or at, lunch, somebody texted me this. We didn't have that. Our teachers didn't have that.
Now it's passing notes.
Right. Exactly. So they just deal with a whole lot more now.
Right.
A whole lot more. So there's that. And then student behaviors. It's an issue.
It's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse.
You think so?
Haven't you seen all the things about soft parenting?
Sure.
It doesn't work.
No.
No, it doesn't work, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, there's logical. It doesn't mean you have to yell, because I don't yell.
Yeah.
I won't yell. I use Levin Logic, which I love. It's a plug for it. Do it. It's like choices and logical consequences. But I'm sorry.
Give me one.
So, for example, Sebastian. So Sebastian was complaining the other day about how, I don't know why we just can't have these shoes. Well, they were like $250 Jordans.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not buying you
Your
$250
kids like the shoes.
Jordans. Yeah, we all do. I have mine too.
Okay.
But they also have jobs. They're 16 and 17.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not buying them for you.
$250?
Yeah,
That's expensive.
they are. Yeah. Yep. And he's done it before with his money, not mine. But he wanted these shoes, and he's like, well, you can just give me 100 or 150. You make bank. That's what he said. And I'm like, dude, I'm still in the field of education.
Yeah, right.
And I might have a lot of titles, but a lot of those are volunteer.
Right. And define bank real
Yeah,
quick.
right. And I said, no, sir. And so he doesn't understand the concept of money.
Yeah.
And he was virgin on, I'm about ready to smack you, and I won't. But, you feel that as a parent.
Right.
So my logic was, you need to learn finances and bills, and you need to learn responsibility. You're 17 years old. You're going to be a senior next year.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be out on your own, and you need to figure it out. So now he has bills that he has to pay.
Like what?
So tomorrow, for example, his cell phone bill is
Cashew
due,
tax.
and it's $10.
Oh, wow.
So
I
it's
wish
based
mine-
off of how much he makes. You know, he has a
Sure.
little after school
That's good,
job.
though. That's good.
Yeah, so he has bills and dates. The most expensive thing he has on his list is rent, and it's $25.
Okay.
But they have their own savings accounts,
Yeah.
and 20% of their check has to go in there. And for him, this is just going to be in lieu of that. But when he pays me, it'll go back into his savings account.
Right.
And he can touch it whenever and his name's on it.
Yeah.
But he can use it when he buys a car or when he goes to college.
Yeah. So
But-
he pays $25 for rent.
Yeah.
And then you shoot
It just
that
goes
over.
straight into his savings
But
account.
it's the action.
Yeah,
and
his
the
his
learning
bills
and-
total $67 a month.
Yeah.
That's it, you know.
Yeah.
And he doesn't play any sports right now after school, so he could work after school and then weekends.
Mm-hmm.
But it's his money still. It's going, and he knows it's going back into his account. And I said, and once you learn and understand bills and the how much money really is worth,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then you don't have to do this anymore.
So what would that constitute? Like, how would you...
So
deem that he
right now, if he has
understands.
money, he spends it. We live not far from a gas
Is
station.
that wrong?
Well, when at the end of the month, he's like, he never has money for what he wants. Or like if he
Join
wants
the
to
club,
go,
pal.
yeah, if he wants to go out to dinner with his friends, like I
Yeah.
don't pay for that, you
Okay,
know?
okay.
So it's like, you want to go to dinner. I'm out of money. And I'm like, oh, you should have budgeted, you know? And so we look at his debit card and it's like, well, you've been to the
Mm-hmm. he's got
gas
a debit
station.
card.
Yeah. So now they don't give you checks anymore at work. They put it on a card and they send you a card.
At his work?
Yes. And he's worked 3 places and they've done it each time.
Really?
Yes. So he works at a grocery store right now. Yeah. And when he
A
worked
grocery
at,
store
yeah,
cut... What?
it cuts out that middleman of having to cut checks or mail them. It just goes straight onto the card for the company, and it's a debit card.
That is just one step closer to CBDCs. Like, they cut out the paper money so that you can't... Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were doing that.
Yeah, and it happened at Brahms too. And then, yeah,
I had no idea.
because Elijah worked at Brahms. And
Wow.
yeah, and that was there too.
Huh.
So, yeah. So anyways, whenever he understands the money and we're not, you
Yes.
know, and not that you can't go, but,
Right.
you know, he never has money for things.
Yeah.
So understanding that.
That's good. That's good to teach at that level too, because if you do have some source of income, like when I was a kid, I would buy video games, Pokemon cards, you know, all that kind of stuff.
So nothing's really changed.
I have more money. That's about it.
You buy more Pokemon.
I have more of it. But like I learned financial management or whatever. Like, my mom would give me money. I go to church camp. And she'd give me money to go. She's like, use this money to buy a T-shirt or whatever. I would hoard that money. I would go hungry. I would not eat. I wouldn't buy a T-shirt, nothing. And I would stack that for months. And then when we went to the mall, I'd go buy Grand Theft Auto because I had my cash or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of how I learned. I feel like Sebastian is getting a better lesson in this.
Yeah.
And it'll be good for him
Elijah
on a
hoards
lower
his.
level like that. You know, it's like there's no risk.
Yeah.
He doesn't pay his rent. Oh my God, you know.
Yeah.
But the repetition of doing that monthly, you know, he'll start to learn.
I know. He's like, this is so unfair. And he's like, you just do this because you hate me. It's like, no, I'm doing this because I love you.
Right.
I said, because you're going to be able to survive.
Right.
And, you know, there's a high chance that your friends are not because they're not going to know. My parents were very big on financial planning, being smart with money and being responsible. I think that's like the farm kid mentality,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
But my brother and I never once called home in college and asked for money. To this day, we've never, you know, asked for help from parents or anything because it was just known that, first of all, they wouldn't. But
Right, we
second of all,
try.
we didn't want to ask
Right.
because we were raised that, like, you know, this is what you do. And Drew and I both, he's a minister. So we
remember
never
you
have
saying
made
that.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
But we budget it well and we're able to live well.
Mm-hmm.
And because they taught us, I didn't like it at the time. I thought they were awful, horrible
course
people,
not.
you know?
No.
Like
It's a hard-
Sebastian feels about me right now.
Right.
But I'm so thankful that they did that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a hard lesson no matter at what age you're at, you know, whether you start at Sebastian's age or you're 30 years old with student debt and, you know, a low paying job and all that. It's like, well, you're going to have to figure out something in
Yeah.
order to do this.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So anyways, so that's my love and logic. That's like a logical consequence, you know, like, okay,
Yeah.
you don't understand money. Well, let's make you understand money.
Yeah, and it makes him feel involved, I think, right?
Yeah.
Like he feels like he's part of the solution, even though it might be a painful for him at this moment. It's still like he has agency in this lesson that he's learning.
He does. And And in my classroom, I used Love and Logic, so I remember the time I was at home sick. I had a chemo that just wasn't setting well with me. And I was just so tired. And I got a call from my aide, and he was like, hey, the kids are really bad. This sub's crying. And I thought, like, absolutely not. Like, I was so big on... And I was known for having good classroom management and good kids and respectful kids. I tell you what, I went up to that school and I left my hat on purpose because I wanted to look pitiful and make them feel bad because I was bald. And I walked in there and I was like, really, y'all? I said, really? And that poor sub was there. And she's like, they were just mean. And I said, you know what? I said, this is it. You have verbally assaulted her. And in real life, whenever you have assault, your first time you get community service. So you will all have community service tomorrow. So they had to call their parents, and I made them stay an hour after school, and we cleaned that school. I told the janitors that I need carts. What do you want cleaned? And they're like, the chairs in the auditorium, the whole auditorium. And I was like, we will do it. So that class stayed after school.
Wow.
And I said, and this is your community service for your verbal assault. And I said, this is real life. This is what happens, So I never had problems again. But I mean, I could have yelled at them. I could have taken their recess or whatever. But I was like, no, let's make this stick.
Yeah. Well, yelling seems like a false promise,
Well,
like,
they just get mad at you when you yell. And so then they don't have to think about what they did because they're just mad because you yelled at them.
Or I'll tune you out.
Yeah.
You're loud. Good for you.
I had 2 kids, and they were, acting like little shits, for lack of a better word. And
Kids tend to do
and they
that
were
sometimes.
teachers' kids. And so I knew I could get away with just a little bit more with them. And so I said, you know what? I said, you're going to act like little shits. You're going to clean it up. So they had to stay and clean up all the guinea pig cages and stuff for the science teacher next door. And their parents came in and took pictures of them doing it because they thought it was great.
They want to.
They were like, yep, this is great. And to this day, now, I'm really good friends with his mom, and I saw him, and his little brother is friends with my kids, and he got married, and he's getting ready to have a kid. And I was talking to him the other day, and he's like, do you remember when you made me clean out those guinea pig cages? He's like, that was one of the best lessons. I remember that. And I was like,
awesome.
yeah. And he's like, I got to think of those someday. I was like, well, you're not quite yet a dad. You got some years. But
right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned soft parenting. Do you think there's like an issue with soft teaching? Because I'll hear.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You have to have classroom management, and you either have it or you don't.
Right.
Like if you walk into a room and you can't learn in chaos, and there's a difference between, or I call it organized chaos, because my room was never sit there and just listen.
Right.
But if the kids,
there's got to be energy to learn.
Yeah, and if you're project based, but the kids are engaged, and you can tell the difference. If they're all sitting there taking part, doing things together, math we played games. Games are the best way to learn math facts, all those things. Yeah, but you can tell because if a pencil's flying across the room, we're not engaged.
Yeah,
not
organized chaos.
No organized chaos, and so, and especially at the middle school, whenever I was fax and video, kids were in and out all the time for the video, and there had to be rules and regulations, and they knew that. But oh my gosh, kids will walk all over you if you let them.
Right.
There has to be consequences, and there has to be structure. And consequences don't mean punitive. It just means like they know that we're going to either act right or we're not. And if we're not, this is going to happen. And as a teacher, you always, and even at home, I try to do positive first. Yeah. You don't want to just say stop all the time. Yeah. You want to say hey, y'all are doing great. So this is what we're going to earn versus, nope, I don't like that. Right. Let's not.
Negative.
Yeah. So you want to do, sometimes there has to be a negative, but you want to try to do the positive first.
Right.
But also you don't give it to them. I never gave, and my kids will tell you this, if they don't earn it, they're not getting it. And I'm not going to be like, oh, well, you almost did. No, you either don't or you do.
That's good. That's like the whole
everybody gets a medal.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
no.
You're way ahead of me. Yeah.
That's not real life.
No.
You want the medal, you earn it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even if you're young, don't give them the medal. You may not have to keep score. I think Jordan Peterson said this. He's like, you may not keep score, but the kids do.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother, he has 3 young kids, and he's really big on it. Doesn't have to be equal. If somebody gets one thing this time because you went shopping and you saw something that looked like them, the other 2 don't have to have something this time. Right. They can get something later, and that's okay.
That's good. That's a hard thing to do, I would think.
Yeah, but now they're used to it, and it's no big deal.
Mm-hmm. If they believe that, like my turn will come, then it probably is not that hard. the kids.
Yeah, and they don't even think like that. He thinks like that, but
Right.
for them, it's just like, no, it's okay. I don't have to have it just because they did.
That's good. Have you ever seen the kids that get birthday presents that it's not their birthday party? Have you seen
No,
those?
I would have lost it.
Oh, I've seen plenty of TikToks with that. Where like it's your kid's birthday, but the other kids that came, they are also getting gifts because they don't want the kids to feel left out.
But how do you celebrate somebody else? How do you cheer for somebody else? Because it's their moment.
Can't. Well, it just robs the person's the one that's supposed to have the moment. It robs from their moment.
It's also not
There's
teaching
no
kids
special.
to be thoughtful of other people because it's all about me. I want this. I feel better with this gift. Well, how about let's celebrate somebody else? Let's put somebody else before us. Let's think about that's their special day, and we
Right.
need to be a good friend and be supportive.
Well, and that's the difference between, giving and receiving energies. Like when it's your birthday, you're receiving all the love, happy birthday, we love you. And here's these gifts. That's receiving energy. And then vice versa. Like it's good. It feels great to give a gift. Like my buddy
love
Alex.
it.
Yeah. My buddy
Yes.
Alex's birthday is coming up. I'm going to get him something nice and it's going to make me feel good.
Yes.
He's excited about it. So yeah, if you diminish that and you don't have any sort of energy exchange, then it's kind of like, what the hell are we doing? Mm-hmm. Terrible. I like the punishment. Well, the punishment fitting the crime,
Yeah.
It's like you did discipline them by making them clean the gerbil thing cages and the auditorium, which is like perfect because it's not like outside it's not like, I don't know, like torturous, true manual labor.
No.
And it also enhances the community, your community being the school. Like
Yeah.
you actually served.
But not only that, but while they're sitting there cleaning, they're going, why am I cleaning? Why am I having to
Yeah,
clean? And they're thinking
right.
about why they're cleaning.
Right.
Because I never yelled. I never
Yeah.
got mad. It was like, hey, you're going to do this. And at the same time, you lead by example. I was right down there with them.
Yeah.
I wasn't in trouble, but I can't, you kids will rise to what you set. So if I want them to clean hard, I'm going to clean hard too.
Yeah.
So they knew like, oh, we're in trouble, but she's in here with us. And
Yeah, and then it almost makes them feel like the kids they want to not disappoint you, and then they did disappoint you, so now it's like they want to be redeemed.
Yeah.
And I think you offered that to them as well, just
Yeah,
the
it
teacher
was
that you
fine.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. Yep. If kids know that you're there for the right reasons, even the toughest of the tough, if they know that you really love them and you're there, you're going to have way less problems with those kiddos, way less. And then after like some of my most challenging kids are the ones that would like lay down for me and die for me, because they were like, they knew it's just
Yeah.
a loyalty.
But
Just
like
cracking that code. Yeah.
the end of the career, like it didn't start that way with these kids.
Oh, in your classroom it does. Well, yeah. So
I meant the tough ones.
well, every year you get new tough ones.
Yeah.
Every year you get new tough ones. And you're like, oh, Lord, and you have to figure them out. Sometimes bad behavior, sometimes it is a choice, but a lot of times it's the outward manifestation of something that's going on in their lives. It's like a side effect to whatever it is, like either a trauma or a frustration. And it doesn't have to be like even bad at home. It could just be that like, hey, in math, I have created this awful, every year I'm terrible at it and I always stink at it. And it's like, if math comes, you just better bet that that's going to be a struggle, So whatever it is, but that bad behavior is going to be a side effect to something.
Right.
So if you can figure out the something and you can kind of tackle the something, then it tends to go away.
Right.
And some kids, they are going to blow up, but if you can teach them how to blow up in an okay way.
Right.
So my oldest, he gets super angry. No, he doesn't. Elijah does. Elijah gets really angry. But over the years, teaching him to say, I need a minute, and letting him walk away. It doesn't mean we have to dress and everything right then. But, instead of him just like, yeah, and he says really dumb things when he's mad because he can't think, and it's really funny, and I try not to laugh. Like,
I mean, who doesn't?
well, we were sitting there talking about his late assignments. He had late work. And
Yeah.
in my house, if you have late work, do I need to move it closer again?
No, I just, yeah.
Okay, if you have late work, you got no wheels. You ain't driving.
Yeah.
So he had late work. So I was like, hey, you got like 4 missing assignments here.
Ooh.
This is not okay.
Right.
And missing work was a thing for him. And so we were sitting there. I was like, you ain't got no wheels till the grades are put in. So that's just it.
Ouch.
Yeah. And so then, he was getting mad because he was losing his car and he was supposed to go places with friends. And I was like, you can't drive.
not
Sorry. Yep. Nope. Not happening. So he was getting mad and he was saying, like, well, if the teacher doesn't tell me, and I said, they shouldn't have to tell you. It says right here in the grade book, you're supposed to be checking your grades in homeroom every day. I said, these are almost a week old because I check them once a week. I said, these are almost a week old. So they didn't have to tell you. It's your responsibility to look. And they know, like, I will always back the teacher. So
there's no use in arguing. Yeah.
So then he was getting more mad. And my favorite line is, so you mean to tell me that all these late assignments are my fault? And I said, yes, they are.
Right. Case closed.
And I'm sitting there, you know, and Sebastian's in the other room, and he's trying not to laugh because it was just ridiculous.
Right.
But he's learned now to say, like, hey, I need a minute.
Right.
And he will either go in his room or go on a walk or whatever. And giving him that space. He's always going to be one that blows up. He's got a short fuse. He's got a short temper.
Yeah.
But learning to, what can you do to kind of mitigate that?
Right. Yeah.
And same in your classroom. I had kids that I knew when they were upset. All right. Do you need to go to the bathroom? Do you need to go get a drink? Do you need to go sit in the hall for a minute? I always had like this reading area, this cubby area. Do you need to go lay down? We'll set a timer for 5 minutes. What do you need? So.
And those ages that you taught, that's such a unique age or gap of ages because at least for me, I had a lot of emotions, but I didn't like know what they were or like where this was coming from. Like, you know, the frustrations and whatnot. Now I can look back and be like, wow, that's because of that. But during that time, it's just like, why do I feel this way? And for you to notice that and be able to translate it, and then two, be able to divert it or to transmutate it in some way. That's like elite level teaching to me.
Well, thank you. I tried really hard. I did pretty well. I won some awards in my day, so
I believe it. I believe it.
I did all right. But I mean, kids will follow you. I always say I will never ask a kid to do something I'm not willing to do. So, for example, clean the auditorium.
Yeah, right.
I'm not willing. When they were cleaning out the animal cages, I was right there holding the trash can.
Right.
So, you know, it's like you just have to, you can't ask them to do something you're not going to do. I can't ask them to give 110% if I didn't, and I don't know how not to.
Yeah, very true.
So I was working just as hard. I needed to be the hardest worker in the class. You know, with my lessons and everything I was doing. Or if I don't want you to yell at a student, I'm not going to yell at a student. You know, if I don't want you to be disrespectful, I'm not going to disrespect you.
Right.
So it was kind of that. And after kids figure that out, it's like, all right.
Well, they can trust you.
Yeah.
Through your behavior and through your speech, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what you just described is just leadership. A good leader. So you being the leader of your classroom, of your group of kids, and setting the tone. This is how I'm going to be, and I expect you to be that as well.
Yeah.
That's
and it was
awesome.
never a job. You just went in every day and hung out. You know, like we worked really hard because we did really good on our tests. Our state assessment scores were good. I always had really good growth. And that's a whole team effort too, because it's the people that you work with. It's the interventionists that are coming in that are taking the kids out. It's the parent support. There's a teacher never is good by themselves. You know, like, well, let me take that back. Let me rephrase that. A teacher is good by themselves. They're great whenever they realize and acknowledge the people around them that are putting in the effort, because it's everybody, especially at a middle school level. You have them for 1 hour, and so it's like when they rotate through, we all have the same common goal. You want to make a good citizen someday, and you want these kids to be their very best, and you want the best for them. And so if everybody's working together, it's a unit.
And you think that like that the community would be everybody in that district, the teachers, the janitors, the administration, everybody.
Well, if they get to me in third grade and I'm like, yeah, we did really good on these test scores, it wasn't because I have a magic third grade wand. It was because in second grade, somebody worked really hard with them.
Sure.
In first grade, somebody worked really hard with these kids. In kindergarten, somebody did.
Right.
You know, if you have a high percentage of graduates that are graduating, you better go back and thank those kindergarten teachers, because that's where it starts. It starts way back there. Somebody instilled a love of learning in them. Somebody taught them their letters that they put together in first grade to read books. And in second grade, they were writing sentences and paragraphs, you know?
So true.
So it's, whenever they like talk about awards at the upper levels, it's the younger ones that got us there too. It's not
I've never thought about it like that. It's like a scaffolding, and the people at the top need the material from the bottom. And I don't even like to tier it that way or whatever, but it's kind of, it works.
Yeah.
But it's all going to the same spot. Everybody has, it's a 10-year long, 12-year long goal that you have. From,
yeah, maybe
from
longer if you have preschool in your building. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it depends on how early you start.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's exactly it. So, yeah, anything that you do, you know, like, for example, one of our buildings just won a challenge award. And the challenge award is from the state. And it's like a formula that they put together. And it's based off your demographics. It's based off your, where the kids come in and where they're projected to perform. And then whenever you perform over that projection, you win a challenge award. Okay. And it's a big deal because it's hard to get. And so they just won that at our second, third grade building level.
Nice.
However, that doesn't happen if the first grade teachers hadn't worked their butts off, if the kindergarten teachers hadn't killed it, you know? So it's like, yeah, they work so hard. That's a great building and they work really hard. But you also have to think, okay, they didn't come to you knowing nothing. They came to you knowing something.
Right.
And so, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. So if you were going to tell someone like maybe that they're thinking about becoming a teacher, or I'm asking you your questions from Educator Kansas.
Yeah.
Thinking about becoming a teacher, or someone that's like, I'm going to be a teacher no matter what. Like, what sort of advice are you going to give these young people?
Be prepared to work hard, but it's like the most rewarding hard work. It's worth every ounce of tears and sweat. And there are going to be, if you don't cry as a teacher at some point, and not because the kids are like bad, but because they always say like, don't take it home with you. How can you not? If you have a kid that's struggling or that's had a bad home life, or you hear these stories, you cannot not take it home with you. Whenever a kid's just cried to you because of something that's gone on in their lives, you can't go, oh, well, I'm leaving my classroom. We're just going to leave that there. You know, like you can't do that as I go home to my cushy life that's, you know, non-dramatic. So, yeah, you have tears for your kiddos, but it's the best. It is the absolute best, but you're going to work hard. You're going to work hard. And that's why everybody's like, oh, they get summers off. You need them.
Yeah.
You might only work 9 months a year, but I mean, the hours, I would go in at 7:10 and I wouldn't be out of there until like 3:45, 4, you know, and then I would go home, or I might go to the gym or whatever. But a lot of times at night, you're either, you know, especially your first couple of years, you're grading papers, or you're looking at lesson plans, or even as my 14th, 15th year, I was still on Pinterest or whatever, like, oh, I want to find something else to go with this lesson, you know? And so you're sitting there like searching for things at night, or you're texting another teacher, well, this kid, I noticed this today. Did you notice anything in your classroom about this kid, you know? So you're still working all hours. Yeah. And even in the summer, you're reading books, or you're on Teachers Pay Teachers, finding things, you know? So people say like, oh, they only work 9 months. What's the hardest 9 months? It's a really long and hard 9 months. And if you coach, it's even longer. You're working like 15, 16-hour days. So, yeah, the 3 months off is needed for rejuvenation. So, yeah. I don't know. It's a hard job, but it's the best job.
No one ever doesn't say that, you know?
Yeah. Well, anything worthwhile or anything hard is worthwhile, or whatever.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it's one of the, however, flip it, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah, something about impacting people, but something about impacting young people, you know, because I think it's because they have so much potential, or they have all the potential to do, you know, whatever they're going to do. And like you have input into that. Oh,
Oh, it's huge. So on average, a teacher has the ability to impact 3,000 students during their career.
Wow.
That's 3,000 people that you are able to influence in some way. That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's yes.
Isn't that nuts?
What could 3,000 people do?
Right. That you taught that you're special, you're loved, you're important, and I'm going to teach you how to work hard. Yeah. Like, that's a huge mark that you're leaving on this earth. It's huge.
It's a legacy.
It is. It is.
A massive legacy, you know.
I know. I always say teachers have the biggest funerals, and they do, because all the kids come, you know. They live a life of service. Yeah. You know, and so you're literally serving kids, you're serving parents, you're serving others their entire career. You know? And for some reason, the jobs of service don't get paid very much, if you notice. So ministers, teachers, police officers, firefighters.
Right.
You know, these jobs that like are directly impacting people.
Essential
Are,
job.
yes. But nobody does it for that. It's because you were called to do it.
Right.
And if you aren't called to do it, then don't do it.
Right.
Because a kid can read instantly whether you're supposed to, whether you want to be there or not.
Right. I feel like it's way too much hard work if you're not called to do it.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't think you're going to make it very far.
You don't. That's why the turnover is like 3 years.
Right. Really?
Yeah, like your third year, that's where people, you know, the teacher shortage, they say they're leaving their profession around year 3 is usually where it happens because their first 3 years are your hardest. They are by far your hardest.
Was that true for you?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't even remember leaving my classroom my first year. Like the hours I spent there, and then you'd go up on Sunday and you'd work all Sunday. Yeah. It was hard.
Just to learn, I don't know, the rhythm of everything.
Oh, the curriculum and the planning, and I couldn't just plan regular lessons. You know, I had to be extra.
Right. No, it's good.
Yeah, and just coming up and like just even figuring out how to grade papers and put it in the grade book and how the state assessment works. And we got to prep for this. And, you know, now it's called differentiated instruction in your classroom. So you don't just teach one thing to all the kids. You might do a group lesson, but then you have to break out. So then you've got interventions where these 5 kids is on this level. Then you have the next 5 and they're on this level. And then you have the next 5. And so then you're pulling out while the other kids are working on whole, like their assignment for math, you're pulling out for reading intervention. So then you've got those 3 lesson plans on top of your other lesson plans that you've done for the day. So it's a lot of planning.
That's for grade school?
Yeah.
Being able to move people around like that?
In your classroom? Oh yeah, all day long.
Wow, okay.
All day long. It's the same at the middle school if you teach like a reading or a math class because you've got to hit them where they are. So in
That's
math,
tough.
I would teach my whole lesson. And then we might break up and like the kids that were struggling, I would bring with me.
Yeah.
And then the other kids might do that. But then I had a math support hour. And within that math support hour, that was a special hour where they could come in. You know, they came to me twice a day. And they would come in and then I would split them out in that group. With me, I had an aide in that hour. So I would make 2 to 3 lesson plans for that specific hour to help with enrichment, to cover skills, and like maybe we need to backtrack and do some basic skills again.
Right.
So no, even at the middle school and high school level, you're still doing it. Yeah. Just
that's-
not as intense as elementary. Elementary teachers, they can multitask like you would not believe.
Oh, yeah.
So when I say the pay,
yeah.
they need to be paid more.
Yeah. How do public school teachers get paid? Like, where does the funding come from?
The government and then the state.
So
that's
through
why it's
taxes.
Yes,
That's like-
some of it. And then you get paid. So the district is so much money per pupil, which I think is like 5,000 something right now. And so you get, I think that's how much, don't quote me.
It's
I could
based
be
on
wrong.
population.
Yes. So that's how much money you're going to get per student to go into your funds. And then sometimes there's extra funds on top of that. So we just got done with ESSER funds, or, you know, we all had some COVID money. So different funds are going to come in from different places,
Right.
and different grants, things like that. But so the pay though, in school budgeting, it's a whole beast that I need to learn more about it.
I've
Being
heard you
on the
talk
school
about it
board,
before.
yeah, I've got to do better. But you only certain funds can pay for certain things. It's not like your checking account that
Right.
says, "Oh yeah, here you go, use it however you want."
Right.
No, this is allotted for sped. This is allotted for capital outlay. This is allotted for, so there's different buckets that you can pull money from, and
Okay.
then they can't cross over sometimes.
Okay.
It's a whole thing. Again, I need to take classes on it, and I haven't done it. But
Maybe ask AI. Teach me
maybe
school budgeting.
There's a superintendent in Kansas that's very, very good and has classes on budgeting and things.
Oh, he actually does classes?
Yeah, he was at Chanute. He's now at Leavenworth. Kellen Adams is his name, and he does like training for finance and budget on school stuff. He's like a guru. So I need to like take some of his stuff.
Does he do like live sessions, or does he webinar it, or?
I don't know if he does or not. I know you can sign up for his classes, and then at conferences, like state level conferences, he's always presenting.
so
I've just never been able to go because I'm either presenting it at that time or
It's such an interesting subject. Like, we're going to learn about school budgeting. I would think, what?
It's huge, though.
I mean, I guess it
you
is. now
don't
that I
run
think-
without it.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. So teacher salaries kind of come from that, which is why everybody in the state's kind of at the same playing field, because that bucket of money only has so much in it. So, and how you allot it and how your student population is. So whenever we were up at Prairie View had that really nice stadium, and they have past bonds, but they also have a power plant up there, which gives them some money like based off the taxes and revenue and stuff. So
She mentioned that.
yeah. So if you have a high industry level in your area, you might get some more funds based off of those things.
And then a bond is
It's voted on.
Well, what is it exactly?
Okay, so a bond, again, you're asking, I'm not a disclaimer, I'm not a superintendent. I am just learning these things.
That's fine.
So a bond, first of all, it has to be voted on. And by the people that live in your district.
Okay. Which is like...
County, I guess.
Well, district could be one county or multiple counties. Usually it's one, I'm assuming.
Usually, yeah. There's a couple little
Right,
consolidated.
I was gonna say.
Like we've done some consolidated where
Right.
we've had to drive 25 minutes, so
Right.
that's a little bit sometimes different. But it's voted on, and then it's based off of your property tax assessment. So, like for example, some districts just tried to pass some last night. I haven't heard of any that have, but like let's say you have $100,000 home. Well, their taxes were going to go up like $11 a month, and that was going for a like $30 million bond for that specific district. And so the bonds, you write them, and it's like a lot of people think it's just for athletics, but they can't be. It has to be. You have to include in it some type of instructional piece. So like redoing a classroom or houses, or sometimes accessibility. So like if your stadium is old, like Parsons Stadium's really old, we need to work on some accessibility for wheelchairs and things of that nature.
Okay.
But it's not like, oh, I want a new sports complex, so let me write this bond for just that. No.
Yeah.
You also have to have it has to have some student learning embedded in it, and then it's voted on. And it's a lot of work. Bonds are a lot of work for superintendents.
Really?
Yes.
Just because it takes so long to write and to like plan everything out?
Well, yeah, you got to talk to architects. You got to figure out your plan. I mean, you're like being like a big contractor.
Right. When you present this bond, it's 100% like figured out.
Yes. And it has to go to the board first. So the board has to do, like, they're listening, like, oh, what do we want to spend this on, whatever. So then once the board decides on it, then you start a campaign and you have to market it. It's marketing, because then you have to convince people that your taxes should go up, and this is why, and this is what we're going to get. Well, I know, like, for example, I don't know if Parsons could pass a bond or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, based off of our poverty and income level, you know, like, I know $12 a month doesn't seem like much, but to some people it is.
Sure.
It is. So, I don't know. It just depends on your area and what you're doing with it. So, and there's only so much money that you can give for a bond in the state every year. So, just because you want
a maximum?
one. I think so.
Really?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
So it's not 30 million.
No, it's way more than that.
Yeah, it's way more than that.
Yeah.
Huh. So, okay, who is making the bond rules? Like, who says you can't just build a sports stadium?
I think the state. Don't ask me that. I don't know.
I don't either. That's what I'm asking you.
I have
But
to do
it's
some
fine.
research, but I think it's state regulated.
So some sort of like standard is being passed down.
It's not just I want this, so let me write it.
Right.
No, there's lots of red tape and rules.
That's probably good. I mean,
it is good.
Yeah.
It is good. And they're hard to pass.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy.
What about, is there any other way to increase funding?
You can
these
write
types of
grants and
schools?
stuff, but a lot of times that can't be for teacher salaries necessarily. It can be for a position. So, for example, if you write a grant to increase your fast bridge scores or your reading, you know, percentage of on grade level readers, you might be able to fund like an interventionist or something with that, but it's not long term. And you can't just be like, oh, well, now we got this money, I'm going to pay these teachers. So grants have to be specific too whenever you write them, and very rarely can you really pay a lot of salaries, if any, out of them.
Just the red tape and stuff like
that. Right. And and a lot of times too, it's like, well, no, people want that money to go to specific areas.
Right.
And it's hard to track a person versus, okay, we purchased this equipment, this curriculum, these things. Yeah.
So how do teachers get paid more? How do we get them to have higher salaries?
You got to talk to your legislator. Your
We need
legislature,
more.
yeah. Your legislators are how they go. You got to go to Topeka and Raleigh, and then also nationwide. I mean, right now there's such a push for private sectors and vouchers. That's going to hurt public schools so much. So much. And you have to think too, private sectors and private schools, they are not regulated like the schools are. And in private sector, you don't have to live and die by these state assessment tests, which can be good if you're a good teacher and you're going to do what you're supposed to anyways. But if not, how do I know that what you're being taught is what you're supposed to be taught? where's the check and balance? Where's the measure that somebody's going, yep, we're on track? Because where's the accountability, and there might be some there that, and some private schools are great. I'm not saying they're not, but in the public school system, there's accountability all over, and you are accountable to the state for, hey, this is what we're doing in our schools. We are performing at this level, or we're not performing at this level. So taking that money away and throwing everybody in a private school is not going to be beneficial for our state in any way, shape, or form.
So that would be an argument against private schools. Is the unregulation or whatever?
Yeah, not all. Because I can totally see, like you want your child to go to a Christian school because of the faith that's being taught there. That is not something we can do in public schools.
Right.
That is not an option. So I understand that. I get that.
But what if they're teaching creationism?
Where?
At the private school.
Well, if that's what they believe, then that's what they believe.
But I think that is your argument for the unregulated thing.
Well, even that, but I mean, even like, I don't know. What do you mean? Like, okay, so their math curriculum.
We're doing this.
Yeah, I know. I talk with my hands. So their math curriculum, they say they can look at the state standards and go, yeah, this is what we're supposed to teach. But the state assessment rules and stuff don't really always, but sometimes they don't apply. Like there's no like, hey, well, if you did bad on your state assessment, so.
No more funding.
Right, because they don't take any funds from, or very little funds from the state. They might get stuff for meals or something like that.
Or are we talking private or are we talking public?
Private.
Oh, we're talking private.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. Like if you have a district and you've underperformed 3 years in a row or really bad on your state assessments, they're going to put you on a plan of improvement.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and schools can go on a plan of improvement. So then it's like, hey, what are you going to do?
Wait, is that good or bad?
It's bad.
Oh, it's bad.
You don't want to be on a plan of improvement.
No.
Because that means that they're going to come in and look at your administration, your teachers, your curriculum. What are you doing? Are you, what are you doing during this intervention time, type of thing.
Right.
So there's that check and that accountability.
Right.
In the private sector, I don't think they always have it.
Yeah. Well, with my whole the whole creationism thing, I was just saying, because you were saying the public schools have more of a standard set by the state or a higher entity.
They do. They have standard so in 6th grade math it says you're going to teach these things and it's topics that you're going to cover and teach.
Right. But math to me seems like math is math until you get to the quantum stuff. Right? No? Yay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty
but
much.
It's the same for social studies. It says 6th grade social studies, you're going to cover these things.
Right.
Actually, 6th grade is ancient civilizations. So you're going to cover this.
That sounds good.
7th grade is like social studies. And then you also have to take Kansas history.
Right.
And then 8th grade is like government, like American history.
Okay. But I mean, with the private school, unregulated, they can just teach whatever they want, which is kind of what you're, not that you're saying that's
being happening. Yeah.
Yes, but you're saying that's
they have
kind
way more freedom and leeway to do that.
Right. They can just kind of teach. They
There's
can teach
some really good public schools. I mean, private
for
schools
sure,
out there.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And again, it's that religion piece, and I get that.
Which is what most of the private schools are religious based or no?
Not anymore.
Necessarily.
They're growing in other ways too. Yeah.
Okay.
But around here, primarily, they usually have some type of a faith-based background to them. Especially up in Wichita, there's the Diocese of Wichita, so the Catholic schools are pretty big around there. Parsons has a Catholic school.
Is Colgan private?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it is a private school as well. Yep. And that's an example of a great private school.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, they do. Their standards are very high academically. They do a good job of really pushing kids, adhering to, hey, our kids need to know this. That's a great example of one.
And you have to pay to go to private school, right? It's that's how that all operates. I have no clue about this.
A lot of times if it's a church-related one, it could be based off, hey, you tithe to our church.
Okay.
So because you tithe to the church, you're not going to pay for your kid to go because your tithe is covering that cost.
I see.
Or,
do they tell you how much to tithe?
I don't know.
Oh.
They could, I guess. I don't know. I haven't ever done it.
Your tithe is $30,000 a year.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. Yeah. I tithe $10. I'm good to go for the year. Thank you.
Right,
Teach
good.
my children. Yeah. I don't know. And then they do charge a tuition sometimes. They can charge a tuition. Okay. If you're not, say you want your kid to go to that Catholic school, but you're not Catholic. Mm-hmm. But you like, hey, it's the only Christian option we have, but I still want them to go. You can pay tuition. And then a lot of times too, those scholarship kids. So like up at Wichita, I forgot the name of it, but it was a private school up there, but they scholarship kids too if you can't afford. And it's like, no, I really want my kid to go here because I don't know, I want them to learn about Jesus or whatever. They'll scholarship you.
Is there some sort of internal feud between public and private schools?
Not that I know of.
It feels like that. It feels like that. It feels like someone, like you would have a strong opinion one way or the other.
I think it would be a personal experience because, like, if I look at Colgan, I can't say anything bad. Like, they do a good job, you know? But I think if there was a private sector that had, like, done my child wrong or in our district, if I can't, like, let's say that they're K through 6 and they're not doing their job, but then they filter into our middle school and our high school, and it's like, but they're not academically ready. I could see where you would have a problem because it's like, wait a second. Now I'm catching them up whenever we weren't, you know, your choice for the younger. So I could see that.
People don't like, I'm team private, I'm team public. Like, they don't tend to do that. As an outsider, I feel like
they're starting to. Yeah, they are. They're starting to.
Yeah.
Not so much here because we don't have as many options for private schools here. You know, like we have some, but if you go into larger areas, like if you, especially statewide, like because this is a big thing right now for the Trump administration, vouchers and whatever.
Right.
Let's say you go to like California, there's way more charter because I think it might encompass charter schools too. I'm not sure. I think it does though. So I think there, whenever you have more options, it's probably way more of a feud. But here,
not so much.
No, like. Okay. I mean, in Southeast Kansas, we've got Colgan, we've got St. Pat's. There's like a Tyro Christian school. Okay. Very small. All of, Colgan's not, but the others are very small. So it's not like this big competition. And I know there's more too. I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
I have this weird, like...
Joplin has one, College Heights.
Thomas Jefferson too, right?
Don't ask me. I just know College Heights. We had to play them in basketball, and they were really good.
Yeah, all the private schools are really good at their sports.
Well, they have God on their side. So.
That's it. I never could figure it out, but now I know.
Yeah,
God.
There's like this little thing. I don't know. It's a thing on my phone. I'll have to send it to you. It's like, oh, we played the Christian school today. You know? Yeah, they had Jesus on their side. You know what Jesus? On the 8th day, what Jesus did? He liked to hoop. That's what he says on there or whatever. It was hilarious.
God, Colgan was always so good at football and everything. Oh, it's terrible.
They are.
They still are. No, I have like this weird like image in my head, and it might just be like it might be like a marketing thing, but like I always feel like I hear or I see things that like private school is better. It's it's harder to get in maybe, or they teach better, and then like public school, it's like, oh, it's just public, like everybody can come in. Is that like the image that's being portrayed that I'm picking up on? Or?
In some areas it is. So it's like this elitist thing. Private school is an elitist thing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So we have the best teachers and we have the best this and the best that. And some might. But then again, you're taking your choice of children. If I want to take the top tier out of every class, imagine, but if you're not taking all children, like, oh, well, this kid, they acted up 3 times in my room this week. Well, you can't come here anymore, Right. So you can weed out and you can make it whatever you want.
Interesting.
So you don't have to take them.
Right.
Private school can say no.
It's like Harvard or something. Like, we take the best of the best.
Yeah.
Like, of course you guys are like the best or the smartest.
Correct. But the thing is, too, that's really not always an accurate picture of real life. So for me, I want my kids to be so well-rounded that they see all races, all religions, all diversity. I want them to see kids with handicaps. I want them to see it all, love and accept it all, and be part of it. So in a private sector, sometimes you don't always get all of that. I want them to see the kids that are struggling that, might have thrown a chair yesterday and go, yeah, that kid, he just needs more love. I want them to see that and realize it. So,
I mean, I went to public school and everybody, besides like 2 people, went to public school.
Yeah.
And so that's the experience that I've had. But just from an outsider, because I know nothing about almost everything I've learned about education is coming from you.
Oh God.
Doing the Educate Kansas stuff.
Okay.
And being around and like just hearing people talk and the interviews that we do, and we hear like what the teachers are struggling with or what the administration wishes that they could do, or they're talking about their accomplishments and what they have been able to do. So I don't mean any offense, talking private, public, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, and the larger, this is just my opinion, the larger that the private sector grows, the less equitable education is going to become for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to, the less money you have, class sizes are going to be expanded, and you're going to be 25, 26 in a class. And, who suffers, and it's not the elite kids.
Yeah.
It's the same kids that have always suffered. You're not giving them a fair chance.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody has to.
Mm. I sent my my sister-in-law a article the other day about China. I don't know how much you know about Chinese education, but they're using AI, like a lot of AI. Like they're filtering out teachers. I don't know if they're filtering out teachers, but they're using AI. I think they said about 5% of their time. And it's teaching them, like it's talking to them and teaching them everything. I was like, oh, look at this. And then she mentioned something about China being that they don't take everybody in their class, and that, like, they don't have like a public school standard where like everybody can come. They have more of a selected, so you have to make the cut in order to go to their public school type system or whatever, which I didn't know that. I thought everybody did it kind of like us, I guess.
No.
Are there any places in the world that America could like learn from as far as education goes?
Oh gosh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I don't know. I know other countries, they do very well performing, and
Right.
I mean, you can always learn
The
something from
Norwegians,
everybody.
they seem like they do pretty well
Yeah. I'm sure. I don't
on
know.
tests.
This is where I don't know much about it. I
Right.
do know that one thing that I do appreciate that other countries do
Mm-hmm.
that we don't do a very good job of here is they are, bilingual. Like they teach multiple languages in their school systems. And that's one thing that I wish that we did from a young age. Like one of my best friends in high school was from Germany, and she spoke French, she spoke German, and she spoke English.
Wow.
And then my best friend's sister from France that is, lives here now, she speaks French, Italian, and English. And I'm like,
That'd be nice.
I speak English kind of, a lot of times I get it wrong. So
Right.
yeah, so that's one thing I wish that we could
Yeah.
would pick up on is, they come out multiple languages, and you can take it in high school or whatever,
Yeah.
but you're not fluent like they are. I mean, fluent.
Yeah, but they do live there too. Like Kansas and Missouri is Germany and France or whatever. That's all right there. So
But
like
it's
you
taught
have
in
to
school.
know. Yeah, but I mean, like they can use it quicker, I guess.
Yeah, but they
Like-
learn English. So whenever they come here,
Yeah.
they're speaking
Everybody learns
English
English.
fluently. No, they don't.
They have to.
No, they don't.
China, Japan, everybody's got to learn English. If you want to be part of the global conversation, you better learn English.
Yeah, but like I'm talking like all their kids learn it, not just.
Well, I think they do now for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one thing I wish that we did that the other countries did. That's a smart move on their part.
Especially starting young too. Like when you're
It's
able
so
to pick it up.
easy.
Yeah.
It's
Just kind of
so
slip
much
it
easier.
in and, I don't know, one day in German, one day in English. And
Yeah, because
that
if
would
I
be
had
so
to
much-
try to learn it now,
Be
which
tough.
I wish I could, but it would be like, oh my gosh. But as a kid, you're just a little sponge. You're
Right.
taking in everything. So
Right.
it's nothing to switch. Now it's like if I switch shows halfway through, it takes me a minute to like get my brain going.
Right,
And
right.
so languages, whew,
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good for you. I was thinking my mom's a sign language interpreter, and I was like, I wrote this down the other day. I thought, you need to learn some basic sign language. Like, you have a
Oh,
master
yes.
at sign language. You should be
Yes.
able to at least be like, let's get out of here. I don't like these people. I need to be
Yeah.
able to send secret signals
yep,
to my
there you
mom.
go. I wish
Yeah.
I could do that too.
You could. I mean, we have YouTube. You could find someone like my mom who could like mentor you.
Yeah,
TikTok.
There's a lady in town who does that for a living, and her parents were actually deaf, and she sends her kids to grow at Eden. She's a pastor's wife in town,
Okay.
and so I love watching her sign. And her sisters, like when her sisters are in town, they're sitting there talking, and or like she'll be like, "Hey," and then they do something too, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh, are they talking about me?" Or
Right.
Yeah.
They're like red hair.
but it's
like-
no joke, but it's so fast and
Yeah.
it's just kind of crazy. But it's I wish I was more educated in those areas.
I'm surprised you don't do that as like a side mission. Just learn some sort of language.
I
Like
will
a low,
when my
like
kids are
level
gone.
1. Like if you could be like my buddy Tommy. He married a Japanese girl, so he had like a good reason to learn Japanese. But just watching him learn Japanese, and then he moved to Japan and he teaches kids English now. Like watching him learn from level 1, which is, greetings, my name is, where's the bar, but that kind of stuff. Versus now, I mean, he's just full on whatever, conversate super fast, be able to conjugate whatever the term is.
Yeah.
But just to have that level 1, I still think that's pretty valuable. Basic greetings,
Yeah.
Where's the bathroom? I don't know, stuff like that.
They have that Duolingo or like
Yeah.
Rosetta Stone or something.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah. I don't know. Right now, I don't feel like I could fit one more thing in my life.
That's true. That's true.
That's
you could
kinda
like
where I'm
listen
at.
to Rosetta Stone like on your way to work and back. Maybe.
But then when will I listen to your podcast that I was supposed to watch?
Well, I'll have AI translate the podcast into German, and then you can listen to it that way. That way, you're just killing two birds with one stone.
I listen to TV while I work, so maybe if I
I
put
do
on
too. I do
Spanish soap
too.
operas or something, I might start picking it up.
I
don't know.
in high school, we watched Spanish soap operas for Spanish class. Destinos. Did you ever watch Destinos?
No.
It was incredible. It was. I need to look that back up. It was horrible, but our teacher loved it. She was like, shut up. This is a good scene. Like,
I
oh my
love it.
God, yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say something about language. I forget though. Oh well. So you are involved in a lot of stuff. So learning a language right now.
No.
Oh, I was gonna say Duolingo makes you feel terrible. Have you ever signed up for it?
No.
If you their icon's a little bird. Their logo's like this little bird. And if you open the app and you do a lesson, bird is happy. If you don't open the app, like say the next day, bird kind of get like your app changes and the bird's kind of like, I missed you today. And then if you don't do it, like the bird gets super depressed and you'll get like little messages like you didn't train, Duolingo today.
That is the best thought process for that app, like to use it and then to teach. Well done.
And the app, like the image on your phone, not like you have to open or anything. Like you can just be scrolling through your apps.
So you can't ignore it.
You can't ignore it. No, I had to take it off my phone because I felt so bad about the bird. I was like, don't look at me like that. But it's good. And I mean, I don't know. I think I took some Japanese because of Tommy. And I was like, if you stuck with this, I think you could do pretty good. Like, I think it's a good program.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be on my list after
One
the
of these
kids leave
days.
when I'm an empty nester.
Oh, I'm bored. I think I'll teach myself French.
I could.
I've no doubt about that. I'm not.
Yeah.
I
I have a
don't.
whole list of things for when the kids are gone.
Such as.
I'm going to learn to play the guitar.
Okay. That's
I
cool.
have one. I don't know how to
Have
play
you
it.
nothing?
No.
No chords or finger positions or
I
anything?
started for a minute and then I stopped. So now it's like back to nothing again.
Okay. But aren't you on the worship team at
Yes,
church?
I just sing. I just harmonize. That's my
But
job.
someone there could probably.
Yeah, I'm
help.
left-handed, so that's where it gets tricky
Jimi
because my
Hendrix.
guitar is left-handed.
Yeah,
So
just-
people to teach it, it's like, ooh.
Just
but,
flip
I mean,
it. Jimmy just flipped it.
That's true. I could just do that too. Well, I'm
that
no
unique.
Jimi Hendrix, but it's all right. So maybe do that. Yeah.
Guitar would be fun.
Yes, and I have one. It's in my closet.
There you go. It's gotta be in the front room, like on a stand, so you can grab it and go.
There's just one more thing
If
for
you
me to
do,
dust.
true. I wonder what the minimum amount of time and energy that it would take to learn something like the guitar. Like, what if it's 10 minutes a day? Like 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it is, but
I don't know. And once I have more time, I know I will like it.
Yeah.
Because I love
like
music so
microwave.
much. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I would like it, but I'll get there.
It'll be cool.
I'll get there.
It'll give you some. How long do you have until they leave?
So Seb is
Isn't
going
he
to be a
17?
senior.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and Jakari and Elijah are juniors.
Oh, not long.
No,
That guitar is
it's
looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's right over there on the horizon. It's coming soon.
Do they know like where they want to go or do? Or I mean, they got some time, so. If they
Yeah,
go.
I don't know. I really push JUCOs
Mm-hmm.
because I think that you don't become just a number in the basic classes there. But second of all, like the student loan amount, like I
Right.
don't want them to come out with loans that people are paying on. I don't want them to still be paying on loans when they're 40.
Yeah.
You know, so many of my friends are still paying on loans. I was smart. My parents they made me smart.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, they're still paying on student loans. And I'm like, No way. So I really push for JUCO. I don't care what JUCO. It doesn't matter. And then they don't know. They don't know what they want to do.
What are they like interested in?
Well, Sebastian wants to do something with numbers, and he's really good at numbers, like statistics and things like that.
Okay.
He's very good at that, and he loves like sport. I told him to be like a sports analyst or something, and he loves it. He looks at stats, and I'll give him like, oh yeah, they did something out of something, like some weird percentage. He's like, oh, that's 67%, and I'm like,
Wow.
okay. All right. So he's very into that. Elijah's very outdoorsy.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me a lot of you, actually, and very like hands-on, creative. He's in a video class. He took pictures.
Oh, cool.
He's really good at pictures and things like that. So I can see him something creative,
Yeah.
or right now he wants to be a survivalist. Like that's his next challenge, not as a profession, but he's been watching this guy that lives 3 days with like these 5 things. And he's like, I think I'm going to try this over the summer. I'm like, yep, you can try it at your grandparents in
Really?
the pond, like next to the pond and stuff.
I think you should, yeah.
Yeah, I think you should too, as long as there's somewhere that he can walk for water, because he's like, you don't go with water or anything. He's like, I'm gonna figure it out. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Maybe we start with some water. Maybe we start with some water.
He'll be in walking distance, so
We'll just take a gallon jug and we'll start with that. Like you got to
Yeah.
work your way up. Like
I agree, but he's a teenager, and you have not yet tried to talk to teenagers who know everything. So you just
No, I
leave
tend
it.
to avoid those
Yeah,
types.
you just leave it, and you're like, okay. You give a suggestion, and then it's like, all right, you do
Right,
you.
right.
Yeah. So I don't know. He'll do something outdoors. He would do great as like a wildlife, like what is that? The park rangers, like national park.
That's kind of, I thought that.
Yeah. Yeah. He would do good at that too. And he would also make an excellent like elementary PE teacher. Kids are
yeah.
glued to him. He's you. So yeah, we'll see what he wants to do. And Jakari really likes marketing right now.
Interesting.
And he actually went on a field trip today to see up in Lawrence a company that does marketing and graphics.
What's it called?
I don't know.
Oh,
He told me.
there's some like big names in.
Yeah,
you said Kansas City?
No, he went to Lawrence.
Oh,
It was a
Lawrence.
teacher's friend that had it, so he went up there, and so he wants to maybe do that. And then we do have Sayla, but she lives with her mom primarily.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what she wants to do. But we got a while.
That's all right.
But
She's younger though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she comes on the weekends and in the summer.
Yeah. Are you worried about? I have to do this. Are you worried about AI at all with like careers for kids? Because like a lot of times when we go to these schools, and I'm listening to the kids talk, and they're young, they're like 10, 12, 15 years old or whatever, and they're talking about a career, and I'm just thinking in my head like, I don't know if that's going to be around.
Oh, it probably won't. But
Yeah.
it probably won't. But I remember too, whenever they said, I remember being in grade school, and they're like, oh, the careers that you guys are going to have, they're not even invented yet. And I remember hearing that whenever I was young. Well,
So it's nothing new.
No, it's
Okay,
nothing new.
that
And
makes me
it's
feel
always
good.
going to evolve and
Yeah.
change. There are some professions, AI can do a lot, and I use AI a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a great resource and tool, but it can't take the place of everything. You talked about, well, in China, they're doing AI for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't run a classroom, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't make kids sit down and stare at a computer screen and learn AI. And AI doesn't give you a hug. AI doesn't make sure
Not
that
yet.
your emotions are met.
Not yet. What happens when like an Optimus shows up?
It's
Tesla
not
bot.
nothing will ever take the place of a human to human connection. You can get some satisfaction, or you can get some solace or something out of that, but nothing. Can you ever imagine? Okay, my grandma was my person. Did you have a person growing up? Who was your person?
I guess my brother.
Can you imagine a bot hugging you versus your brother hugging you and it being the same?
No.
Right.
But what if I grew up with the bot? Like, what if I had a connection to the bot?
This is just my opinion again. I believe that humans crave other human connection and relationship, and there's nothing that is going to take that away. It is all in different levels. Some people are okay with occasional or once in a while, or that they're that one friend person, and that's all they need. And some people need this huge amount of people and this huge expansion of people, but everybody needs people, and you will never replace that. Our souls need connection with another human.
Perhaps we shall see. The bots are coming, and it worries me.
Oh, I think, yeah. And if it's taken out of context, or, yeah, you can get away with it. But, a bot's never going to take the place of a nurse. Or, I'm sorry, but, for me, whenever I sat down with the doctor and they told me I had cancer, if a bot told me that, that's not going to be good enough for me.
Yeah.
You're not going to take the place of those moments. You know, let's say you have a baby. Do you really want some bot handing you this baby, or do you want a human life? That somebody, a doctor, to be like, here's your kiddo.
Well, I think I'm sorry. I always bring this shit up. A bot, like we think a bot, like of a robot, you know, like metal and whatnot, but like synthetic skin. Like, what if we really build these things out and it's like
they have no feelings. They have no soul.
I want to know. I want to know if they truly do. You know, like if we dress them up and they pass the Turing test and they look and they feel and they're warm. Like you touch them and like you can feel the heat.
Where's the inside? Where's that?
They might not. They might not.
because you can feel an energy from me when I walk
Sure.
into a room. It like escalates. You know, to almost too much for people.
Right.
You know, but you're
Sure.
never gonna get that from a computer. I mean, they can look it, they can say the right things, they can sound the right things,
Yeah.
they can feel the right things on the outside, but that inside you can never replace. You can't.
We're gonna find out. I don't know either way. Like I see it one way where like I'm like, yeah, they can. I mean, I talk to AI quite a bit, and I'm thinking, you are that close. You are that close to taking the spot of a person. And then sometimes I'm talking to it, and it's like, stupid bot, you know, or whatever. So I don't know.
How are you going to relate to, I don't know, let's say, I don't know, if you've lost a parent, you're going to talk to a robot who's never lost a parent and be like, oh yeah, they get me.
Well, it's not that they've never lost a parent. It's that they can access every memory, every situation, every experience from someone or a book or a, whatever resource of a person that has lost a parent, and then they formulate their response that way. I know,
but that's
that
still,
Grok has never lost a parent. But I can
that's a
say
formulated response, though. That is not an actual I lived it response.
I guess the question would be, does it matter? Like if it allows for me to have catharsis from losing the parent, from this big event.
Oh, for me it does. I need to know that.
And maybe it does.
And that could be like for some people it doesn't. But
yeah, I don't know. Because I mean, I remember one time I was in the sauna, had a terrible day for no particular reason, just a bad day. So I go to the gym, I work out, and then I go into the sauna, and in like 30 minutes of this sauna is slowly just breaking me down. And finally I just full on break, just tear up and sweating, and I'm dying, and I'm like, I got 10 minutes, I'm staying in here. So I start talking to chat, and like, I have this horrible day. Here's what's on my mind. I feel like I'm a failure, blah, blah, blah. The response it gave me broke me even more. Like I had no idea it was capable of meeting me on that level. So much so that we work through it. It's asking me questions like, how come you think you feel that way? I think I feel it, you know, back and forth. By the end of that 10 minutes, I walk out a renewed man, like a spiritual rebirth. Back. I'm like, I'm back. I untangled some stuff in there, and it just came from. I mean, that day changed my life with AI, and maybe that's why I'm so obsessed with it, just because I didn't think it could do that kind of stuff.
yeah, and it has a place, and I think it can do those things, but there are just going to be some things that, this is me,
I hope so.
I believe that a human has to, you know, yeah, I think for sure it knew enough psychology and, you know, what to say to hit you in those right spots
Sure.
to make you realize things. That's not bad. But whenever you get out, you need to give somebody a hug or something, and that you can't hug your, I guess you could hug your phone, but I don't know. It's kind of one-sided.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hope so. Just like I said, I hear these kids. I'm glad that you also heard that when you were in school, just because that makes me feel better.
Oh yeah.
That there's still hope, because sometimes I wake up, I'm like, we're screwed. They're
It's gonna
coming. The
look
bots are coming.
completely different. It's
Yeah.
gonna look so different,
Yeah.
but
I always think about that with sports. Like if you go back into the, I don't know, 1800s, and you're like, no, there are people that live their entire, like their career is to put a ball in a hoop, and they make a crazy amount of money, and they'll be like, what? And it's like, no, that's their whole career. And so something that didn't exist that far back, it's like, well, like you said,
it's always gonna evolve.
something, yeah, right. Yeah. You mentioned a few times, and I know this just because we're friends, but you mentioned that you went through an experience with cancer.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was that, you know?
Oh, I had bad boobs. They tried to kill me.
Yeah. Dang it.
I know.
That's
I know. Yes. So at 30, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So went through all of that.
Just out of nowhere.
Yes, I have no family history of it. My grandma was actually passing away, and she, like I said, she was my person. And I was in the shower, and I was actually like shaving under my arms, and I was like, wait, what is that? That feels weird. And it was this huge lump, and I was like, oh, it must just be a lymph node. I have no history of it. I'm young. I'm not thinking anything. So my grandma ends up passing away, and we take care of all that. And so I was like, oh, this was around Thanksgiving. It's like, over Christmas break, I'm going to go to the doctor. We'll just get it checked out. So I go. And so I didn't know there was a 3-step process, and you don't want to get to step 3. Step 1 is your exam in the office, So then feel around. Okay, let's go. Step 2 is the mammogram. Okay, mammogram, you go in there and they sit you in that machine and squish you down and everything. Then they went, this is step 3. This is what you don't want. Well, we're going to need to go get a sonogram and a biopsy. Yeah, so that's the step 3 you don't want. So I go in, and I'm scared to death of needles at this point. Like I've had one IV in my life, and that's when I got my wisdom teeth out. I'd never spent the night in a hospital. I've never broken a bone, knock on wood. I had never done any of that. And I'd given blood. That was the extent of my hospital anything.
Right.
So I go and do my biopsy and everything, and so then they send it off. So then I'm like waiting, I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know that on a sonogram, whenever you they do colors, and so they're scanning it, and if it lights up with color, that means there's blood around it, and so most tumors, if they are malignant, then that's cancerous, right? Yeah, then they have lots of blood flow because it takes the blood to make it grow, and the things in the blood and oxygen. And then a lot of times, if it's benign, it's just like colorless. Well, I was like, oh, look at all those colors. I didn't know.
No.
Yeah. So now I'm like, if you see, you don't want to see colors. You don't want to see colors.
Right. Not good.
That's what I tell people. Don't see colors. So then I just had to wait, and this was all over Christmas break, and it was, so I had to wait, and it takes 10 days to 2 weeks to get that back. The pathology.
That's a long time.
Yeah, they have to culture it, and I guess it has to grow or do something scientific that I don't know.
Right.
So I was at school, and I got my call. Yep. That was like, yeah, well, it is positive or whatever. And I was like, okay, here we go. So then from there, I went down to MD Anderson because I didn't want to miss any school. So I never missed school. So you can bank days. And whenever I left with 90 sick days banked,
oh, good
and you
grief.
you can only bank. So it's more work for a teacher to be gone to write the sub plan. It's just awful. Right. So I was never gone. So, I was like, I can't be gone for that long. All these appointments. And then the wait time. The waiting is agonizing. Yeah, that would be. Because you have to wait to see what you have. And then it's like the moment you figure out you have it, you feel like it's growing and it's spreading all over your body instantly. Right. It's like, oh my gosh.
It's right there.
Is it in my lymph nodes? Yeah. Is it going here? Is it going there? And by the time, and before I had made it, because I had a 2-week wait to get to MD Anderson, 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And, it was like, oh my gosh, my back hurts, and so then you'd Google's a dark place. Don't ever get on Google. Yep. Oh, it's on my back. It's in my spine. It's metastasized, or then I thought, oh, my spleen's, whatever. And so then I researched, and there was one case in Australia where it went to your spleen. That was it. That's all I found. I was like, okay, well, maybe it's not there.
Right.
So I went down to MD Anderson, and then I started my appointments on a Monday. And by Saturday, I'd already had my first chemo.
Wow.
They move quick down there. They move real quick.
That's not typical.
It is there.
Oh, okay.
It is there. There you fly. They go quick. So their hospital hours are crazy. And whenever you say hey, I'm from 14 hours away, they push you through.
I see.
So I had all the scans. They did another biopsy to make sure something like a lymph node or something wasn't. And it was long hospital days. And so got my first chemo there. And I was kind of this rebel. I didn't really follow any of the rules. I refused to port. I know. I refused to port because I didn't want a scar. Little did I know I'd be cut apart into millions of pieces. I was like, oh no, I don't want a scar. And then finding out that you have to lose your hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm known for my big red hair, and back then, because this was 10 years ago, big hair was still in. So my hair was big, right. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to be known for? And, it's like, oh, what am I going to do? So I had to lose all my hair. And then they give you the option. They were like, well, my tumor is really big.
What was the diagnosis?
So it was invasive ductal carcinoma. And then I was a triple positive. So that means I was hormone positive, estrogen positive, and then HER2, which is another type of protein that like kind of surrounds the tumor. It's kind of like an M&M. It's like that candy shell. So that's what the HER2 is. And 18 years ago, it was the deadliest kind because it prevents the chemo from getting to the tumor.
Oh, wow.
But there's actually a movie about it, and Harry Connick Jr. plays the doctor. And it's about the doctor that created a drug called Herceptin.
Okay.
And so Herceptin is like the drug that like breaks that apart.
Oh.
So then you can tackle that tumor. And then the and then the Herceptin you're on for a year, you know.
Oh, wow.
You're on that for a year, but you don't lose your hair on it or anything. It's super mild. You just
Okay.
get tired.
Right.
Yeah, but the chemos were nasty. I went every 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. And
For
I think I had
how long?
12 rounds maybe.
Every 3 weeks, 12. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
9 or 12 rounds. I don't even remember. I thought I'd never forget that number, but I did. And I would go up to Kansas City. So I would take off of work on Friday. And I would leave really early at like 6 in the morning and get up there for chemo to start by 9 because you start with a doctor's appointment and then chemo up at KU. And then you'd get chemo for 4 or 5 hours. That's how long it takes.
I mean, I don't know how chemo works. Are you hooked up IV and
Yeah,
just chilling
but-
out for 4 or 5
Yeah,
hours?
yeah.
Wow.
If you have a port, they put it in your port, which is usually either. But I decided I just want to
Right.
stick myself.
Yeah.
So, because I didn't want a scar. So anyways, you'd sit there for 4 or 5 hours and they give you anti-nausea meds. So it's nothing like what you used to see. You know, you picture people sick and stuff,
Right.
and you still, but during it, and they give you steroids to like combat any allergic reactions.
Interesting.
So then after chemo, you're like hopped up. Like I would be up at 2:00 in the morning cleaning because I was like, all those steroids were in your body and you were just like, whoo, yeah. And then you would crash. So Sunday was my day that I would bottom out and crash. And then Monday I was back at work.
And just work all week and then
work
do it
all
again.
week.
And do it again in
then
3
have
weeks.
a couple weeks. About the time you start feeling better and it's like kind of starting to come out of your system, you're getting hit again.
Oh, yeah.
So I say it's like this ladder. So like you start, at the top and it'll knock you down. And
Right.
you'll go up a couple, but not
Right.
quite to the top. And then it'll knock you down. And then you'll go up a couple. And so it's like it just wears on you.
Oh, I believe it, yeah.
Yeah. And like whenever they say you lose your hair, it's not just on your head. So like I blew my nose, and I also taught I taught Zumba classes this whole time too. Bald. I was teaching Zumba classes. I don't know how I did all that. I have no idea. I didn't have kids at the time. That's probably why. But I would work all day, and then I would teach an exercise class 3 days a week. Yeah. And so I blew my nose one day, and I was like, oh, that felt kind of weird. My nose hair fell out.
Whoa.
You lose it everywhere. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize the importance of nose hair until you don't have it.
Oh,
A
yeah.
jumping jack is lethal.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing. Like if you feel like your nose is gonna run, you better run quick because there's nothing to stop it.
It's just coming.
Yeah, yeah. And it was nice I didn't have to shave my legs because
You're good.
Right.
You're ready to go.
yeah, but then like you lose your eyebrows and your eyelashes too. Those were the last things to go. And my chemos were nasty. There were some. There's one called adriamycin. They call it the red devil because it's red.
Oh.
It's a nasty chemo.
Like nasty, like.
Oh, like will make you sick. It's just rough. You have to eat ice whenever you get it because it'll cause mouth sores. And then I didn't know this before I refused to pour it, but if it had gotten out of my vein at all, it would have killed the tissue immediately, and I would have had to have been rushed to the ER. Yeah, the poor, God bless the nurse that gave it to me. They made her because she had gone through treatment like a year before, and she refused to pour. So,
So
so it was her
continues.
payback. Yeah, but I had really good veins, but it was fine. But yeah, so I remember, and I'm a very faithful person. So God was so faithful through it. From the finances, my community and my school supported me more than I could have imagined. My students were great. Their parents were great. I mean, they would do like fundraisers because when you're young, like all of a sudden you have all these medical bills.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh. And they were so good. And God was so faithful. And I remember I would be like, okay, you'd hear these horror stories about like whenever your hair fell out, it wasn't going to come back in the same. It was going to be like thin and nasty. And I remember one chemo, I was sitting there and it's like, if you've had Taxotere and you've had permanent hair loss, and I was like, I started laughing out loud because that's what I just had.
Oh,
and I'm sitting there bald and I'm like, oh.
No, don't tell me that.
Right. But I said, I will have a really positive attitude about this, God, and I will give you the glory, and I will, be a light during this. If you can just make my hair grow back, not thin and awful.
Let's make a deal.
That was exactly it. It was let's make a deal. And it came back in thicker and kind of crazy.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, Lord, please don't let me lose all my eyelashes and eyebrows. And after the last chemo, I had like 3 here on this right eye, and I had 2 on my left eye. And I put mascara on them still. I was still, and like my eyebrows were like connect the dots. It was like a pencil, and you'd be like, oh, I think it was there. I don't know.
Right. Close enough.
But you had to I couldn't wear a wig. Your head's sore whenever you lose your hair.
Right,
People don't know that.
Yeah.
But I just wore the hats and headbands and big earrings. But I was like, oh, and I'd watch all these makeup tutorials because that's the only thing I had going for me was my face at that point.
That'll really dial it in.
Yeah, exactly. You look kind of gray anyways. You don't look the best. And then the steroids make you gain weight. And so then I look like a puffer fish in my face. And your nails lift and they almost fall off. Oof. Yeah. And your taste buds I hate McDonald's. Their fries, I'll give them credit. But like, it's just not good food for you. Yeah. But whenever you're on chemo, everything tastes awful. Ooh, like vegetables, like metal. It's just awful.
Like metal?
Yes.
Like metal?
There's a lot of metallic taste. Yeah. And so I couldn't even eat off metal forks. I'd eat off plastic. It was just metal. Yeah. Wow. And so the only thing that you can taste is like really salty things. Uh-oh. Me and McDonald's, we had a really good relationship. It was like once a week. I was like, I need the 2 cheeseburger meal. Oh, no. It was the only thing I could taste. And like sweet tea, pop was awful. Anything carbonated.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Huh. Yep. So sweet tea, I could do that. So whenever I have people now that I know that have it, I make them this little like chemo bag, and it's an eyebrow pencil, and it's kids toothpaste because the mint's too hot. It's too spicy. Your mouth is sore. And I get them a sweet tea and just like these random little things that nobody tells you about. Right, like vitamin E oil for your nails so that they don't fall off because they'll lift and fall off.
If you don't put vitamin E or
sometimes,
put something on them?
Yeah. And sometimes they don't. But like if mine did, mine lifted and it like felt so weird. And you could see them trying to come off and I'm like, don't you dare. Like, yeah. Well, it kills all your cells. It kills everything. It doesn't say, oh, this is a good cell. This is a bad cell. It's just... You're all going to die. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And so then after that got over, my tumor responded really well to where they couldn't find any traces of it.
Oh, that's great.
Oh yeah. It was fantastic. And, so then I did a double mastectomy and.
Was that recommended afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah. My tumor was really big and as young as I was, yeah, like they were like, we really recommend this, right. And they're like, or you could just do one. And I thought, well, gosh, I don't want one that's up here and one that's, clear
right.
down.
Do both
You're going to do it. Might as well. And I didn't ever want to do it again. So if they said there's a better percentage, I was like, sign me up. Right. And I had the best plastic surgeon. I made friends with all my nurses, and I know that's shocking.
I believe it.
Yeah, and Dr. Lai in Kansas City. If anybody needs plastic surgery, I highly recommend him. I've sent him a bunch of people. I feel like I should get a punch card. Nice. And so it's about time for some lipo or something for free. Okay. Come on. Lipo. Yeah. And so I went to him, and my dad was retiring from UPS, and so he had sick days that he had to use because in my family, we never call in. So he would take me to some of my doctor's appointments, or ride with me because it was to Kansas City.
You're not driving back after that on your own, are you?
No.
So like if you had to, like you couldn't.
No, my eyes were so fuzzy from the drugs and stuff no. I was awake and all, but it's just you're not in the right headspace to drive that far. And if it were like in town, I could have driven home. Yeah. Fine, but not 3.5 hours. So I take my dad up to, my appointment, and I thought they put expanders in first because they have to re-stretch out your skin. Okay. So whenever they cut off everything, they send you home with drains, and you start with some expanders. And so I actually took my drains out 2 days before school started. Yeah, before school started back up, because I did it over the summer. So school started back up, and I taught. That's fine. I took my staff picture, and I had to hide my drains. And I was like, it's fine.
Yeah,
We're good.
right.
I'm bald as anything. Actually, my hair is about, half an inch, and I thought it was something. So the expanders, you would go up. I went up every week because I wanted those things out. They're painful. They tie them to your ribs and everything so that they don't move. And there's to stretch your skin for your implants because you just can't stick them back in there. Because they remove, it's kind of like unstuffing a pillowcase, but they take the skin away too, so they got to stretch it back out. So you'd go up and they have these little, like this magnetic little pieces. I could actually put a magnet and a piece of paper to my chest and it would stick.
Whoa.
Yeah, I did it to mess with the kids.
Right.
So
look at this cool trick.
Exactly. I was very open the entire time because I wanted to share my story because I never knew what kid someday would have their mom go through that and I had all these kids watching me. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to show them in adversity, you can be joyful and there are blessings around you. And it was, like I said, the town was phenomenal. I could not. I have a book. I need to bring you my cancer book sometime. I made a book of everything that they did.
Like pictures and stuff? Oh, nice.
Yeah. But I go up to I thought it was my, my last expander appointment. And then the next one, it was like, you had so many and then you'd pick out your implants and then you'd make your appointment. So, my dad's in there and it's no big deal. You just had a V-neck on and they would put it. So it was nothing.
Right.
Well, Dr. Lai walks in with Jenny, his nurse, and she's fantastic. And he walks in with this big tray, and he goes, "It's implant day!" And my dad's in the room, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
What a great day to come to the appointment.
And he's so modest. Like as a kid, he would turn off the tampon commercials. They bothered him.
Oh no!
Yes.
He's like, "Get me out of here."
Yes. So he was so modest. So, anyways, he was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I posted on Facebook that day. Dad and I are at a new level of our relationship. We picked out implants together.
Did he help? Did he be like, that one's good? Or
no,
whatever?
I was messing with him. I was like, Dad, what do you think about this shape? Do you think that? And he was like, oh my gosh. So he went back out in the waiting room and the doctor was laughing so hard. And he's like, I'm going to have a daughter. Is this going to happen to me? And I said, well, I hope not in this scenario, but is she going to embarrass you? Yes.
Yeah,
of course.
Of
yes.
course. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So anyways, did that. And yep. Then you have to take this like cancer pill for like 5 years.
Wow. 5 years.
Yeah. And it stops your hormones if you're hormone positive. So it throws you into early menopause.
Really?
Yep. At 32.
That
was awful. It was absolutely awful. So like, it was so bad. The hot flashes and everything that like, your 50-year-old teacher friends are going through. You're right in the thick of it. Yeah. Acupuncture does wonders for hot flashes, by the way.
Really?
Oh, life changer.
Parsons has an acupuncture place?
Mm-hmm. We have a holistic doctor.
I was kidding, but...
Yep, she does.
Very cool.
And it was a lifesaver because it stopped it because I didn't even know what I was going to do.
How did you decide on acupuncture?
Because I went to the doctor and I was like, what can I do?
They recommended it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like, well, I've heard good luck with this. And I've sent so many people that's been on treatment that's like, oh my gosh, what do we do with these hot flashes? Oh, and I gained so much weight. So, I'm only 5'2". Mm-hmm. When I got on the scale, I was 181 pounds. And I was like, this is awful. Like, this is so bad. It was so bad. I just was swollen everywhere from the steroids because the Herceptin I was allergic to. So I was on that for a year. So every 3 weeks you're getting IV steroids for over a year.
It's a lot. It's traumatic on your body.
Yeah, it was. It took 2 years before I really felt like, okay, I'm back to normal.
So you're 34 or got it diagnosed at 30, done at 32?
I was pretty much done with everything by the time I was 33. Like all the surgeries were done. Everything was done.
And then start to feel...
And then I was on the pill for a couple years after that. So it wasn't until like 35 then I got off the pill. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I didn't make it to 5 years.
Oh, really?
No.
Is that like a daily thing or a daily? Oh my God. Wow.
That thing is awful. Yeah. And so finally I was like, I can't do this anymore. I did it for like 4 years or something. And I was like, I'm done. And the doctor was like, okay.
But you only had to do it for 5, and then it's kind of like, well,
yeah. And
so
he's like,
close enough.
He also knew me enough to know if I'm done.
Right. not to fight it.
He was like, all right, then she really can't take it. Like she's she's a trooper. So, yeah. So anyways.
When they give you the diagnosis, was it like it was very serious? Like, were you afraid at all? Or like, they'll give you the chances of living or whatever?
So the first thing you feel is shock.
Yeah.
Like
And you're at school too.
Yeah, I was at school. I was outside my window. Like I've taken a picture when I worked there. I took a picture there every year on my cancerversary and posted
cool.
it. Like this is the scene of the crime.
Yeah,
you know,
right. This is where everything changed.
Yeah, and first you're in shock. It's like you're watching somebody else's life and it's not yours.
Right.
It's like, no, this isn't real. This
Yeah.
isn't happening to me. Like this is not it. You know, and then I got it closer.
No.
And
Sorry.
then I wasn't ever scared to die because of my faith, but I didn't want to. I wasn't ready. So it wasn't that I was scared. It was just like, I'm not ready for this to end, you know? And I always say you get to be a rock star either during cancer or after cancer, but you don't get to be both. You're going to have to break down at some point. So I was a rock star. I was like ready to go. I was like, let's do this. And my post, I was positive. I was trying to laugh, you know, and I would make funny ones. And I still, you know, was out and about in town, still teaching and just, you know, can I volunteer? So all the things, because it was important to me. The town was so good. God was so good. And then afterwards is whenever everything kind of hit. Because it's a new normal, which I hated when people said that. Like a new normal. I was like, I liked my old normal just fine. My life was good.
Yeah.
You know, I was traveling, everything. I was getting ready to like, I'm going to start a family now. I'm 30. I've got my career under my belt, everything. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So it was after that it just kind of fell apart. So that was
It sounds like you were sprinting for 3 years.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And I started a mentoring program called Breasty Besties. So I would match people with people who had similar stories.
Rusty?
Breasty
Breasty.
Besties.
Breasty
Yep.
Besties.
Breasty
That's
Besties.
awesome. I like
Yeah. And like my little business cards, they say like a good bra will support you.
Perfect.
See, I had so many jokes.
So good.
So many jokes, you know. So anyways, yeah. So
Does that still go on at all? Or?
A little bit. I didn't, you know, like the further out you get, people forget you had it, so they don't reach out as much anymore.
Sure.
But I do all the time have people say like, hey, this person just got diagnosed. Can you? And I'm like, oh, for sure. And I'll do anything, you know. And then, when I Googled a mastectomy, don't Google that either. You only see the botched people. You only see the ones that are like,
that didn't go right.
no. And so then that's whenever Botched was also on TV and it was really popular. And I thought, oh, gosh.
Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. This is going to be awful. And it was way better than I expected.
Yeah.
So now whenever people are like, oh, did you have a double mastectomy? I'm like, yeah. And so I'm like, do you want to see? And I'll take them in a bathroom. I was like, that didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
They're not mine anymore.
Right.
So I'll be like, yeah, do you want to see? And they're like, yeah, we do. So then they know what they're going to kind of look like or get or...
I think that's good.
Yeah, because it was scary.
Well, the whole thing is shrouded in some sort of, you know, like mysterious, like, oh, I got diagnosed, and then like chemo. And for me, it's just what I've seen on TV or like hearsay, like, oh, so-and-so got it. And then they went through all this, you know, like I have no idea. I wouldn't know what to do or how to do it or any of that.
Hopefully you find somebody. I had really good people that I met at MD Anderson or people in town that had cancer that were like, hey, we got you. This is what we do. It's like, it's a really cool club because everybody's so kind and so wonderful and so supportive, but it's a club you really don't want to be part of. But once you're in it, it's great people.
Right.
But yeah. And they always say like cancer changes you. And I'm like, no, I don't think it does. I think it just really highlights who you really are because you're too tired to pretend to be anybody else.
I see. Right.
You feel so bad that like you don't. So if you're a positive person, you're going to be positive through it. If you come out and you're just this bitter whatever, then you were probably that anyways. You just did a good job of hiding it. But then you're like, I don't care. I have no energy.
You have just enough to be authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I feel right now in my life.
Yeah, it comes with age too. The older you get too, the less you're like, I don't care.
Yeah, mine mostly comes from the strategy, like life strategy. It's like, okay, it's not working out like I thought it was, and so I'm done with that. I'm just gonna do this way now, you know.
Yeah, I was very regimented on like I was gonna have this plan and this was gonna be my life, whatever. And cancer was a good thing to be like, no, you're really not in control.
Yeah.
And you know, you just have to step back a little bit, but it also like I loved service projects and mission trips and everything before. So it's just like, oh, now I really, really love them. I really want to get back. I really want to serve type of thing.
Do you do a lot of like speaking? Do you ever speak on the cancer stuff?
I did right after I first got diagnosed a little bit. And then I have a couple times like I did for the volleyball team not too long ago.
Oh, okay. Like a motivational type thing?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, just, you know. your adversity through
Yeah.
it. You have to stay positive. You have this amazing ability to make an impact, you know. And I would set a timer whenever I wanted to have a pity party for myself. And I would set my timer on my phone. I'd be like, all right, you got 10 minutes to
10
feel
minutes.
real sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
And then after that timer goes off, it's time to put your big girl panties on
Yeah.
and let's go. And oh my gosh, I would sit there. I remember one of those times, you know, and it was like, oh, I was feeling terrible. The expanders were so much pain. I was in pain. And I was like, it didn't do me any good to sit, to stand, to lay. So I was like, I'm just going to do something. So I'm going to rearrange this, you know, collage on my wall. And I just remember sitting there like sobbing. And I was trying to listen to my praise and worship music. And I was just sobbing. And I'm hanging up this sign. And I just start laughing. And my mom and dad were there. And they're like, what? And I said, look at this sign. And I'm sitting here sobbing. And the sign I'm hanging up says, today I'll just be happy.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So it was like, it snapped me out of it. And I was like, okay, this is fine. But I would set a timer. And then afterward, it was like, nope, that's it.
That's good.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
Because you have to feel it. But how long you feel it.
Right. Yeah. Like, don't get caught up in it.
Yeah.
Because it's there.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you know, if you have a sickness or a death or something, if you're married, it doesn't break you. It just highlights, again, the cracks that were already there. It just brings them to the forefront. So it's not like, oh, these problems didn't exist before. Oh, no, they did. It just didn't bring it so much into the spotlight.
Right.
So I got divorced afterwards.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Do you think it... Whoa. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I played every marriage that you have or ends or survives is because two people either tried or two people, you know, had some missteps along the way. So I played my part in it for sure. But the thing that broke was it was like I was done with treatment and I was like, I'm ready to adopt kids. Like I'm ready. I don't want to have kids. I could have had kids, but
I was going to ask if that...
It brought everything was working. Now, whether or not it would have taken, I don't know. But it brought back my chances of reoccurrence a lot because it was all hormone driven.
Yeah, the hormones.
So, yeah. So they're like, well, you can, but it's going to raise your chances. And it was like at this point in my age anyways, I was 34, 35. I was like, no. And I'd always wanted to adopt. And the story of my adoption is pretty cool. But I always wanted to adopt. And so I was teaching and I had Sebastian in class, but their foster dad, Martin, would bring, my ex-husband was a mechanic. And so he would bring his truck to get fixed and he would bring Seb and Elijah with him. And I was like, these kids are so cool. They're so cool. And so then one day, Martin, he was out there and he was like, yeah, we just got the call. Their parents' rights are severed. And he's like, I don't know why I told you that, you know. And it was like instantly I knew that God was like, these are your babies.
Really?
These are your kids.
That's what you felt?
Yes.
Wow.
Instantly. And I'd always looked at him like, I wonder what this story is. Because they were middle school kids. They didn't have like these crazy, like traumatic. It's really different to not have kids that have been in the system for 4 or 5 years. And there was no back and forth with their parents. But to not have any, you know, major trauma.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then they were academically in a good place and everything was fine with these kids. And that's just kind of a rarity. And so Martin told me that and I was like, these are my kids. I know these are my kids. So I was like, okay. So I talked to him.
Incredible.
It was like this feeling. It's like that moment. I knew.
Yeah.
I knew these were my babies,
Wow.
you know? And so I had talked to my ex-husband and he's like, you know, I don't want to be a dad anymore.
At this point, I mean, everything's good with the marriage?
No. He was doing his own thing.
So there's like
I did
a
mine.
slow descent.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah. He went to one chemo with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Read between the lines there.
Yeah, sure.
Read between the lines there.
So this wasn't like out of the blue. This
No,
kind of
it was like, you know, and like I come from a family where you don't get divorced, you know,
Well,
like
sure, yeah.
you don't. Like my grandparents were each married 60 years. There's only like 4 of us.
That's very common in this area.
Yeah. So it's just something you don't do. You just don't do.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I can make this work. Mm-hmm. You know, we had been to counseling and we tried and he had what he wanted to do. I had what I wanted to do and they were not matching up. They were not matching up at all. So he's like, I don't want to be a dad and I don't think I want to be married to you anymore. And I was like, okay. So we amicably split. Like it wasn't hostile. It wasn't anything like that. It was he was respectful of what I wanted and vice versa. We shared a lawyer. We wrote our own divorce plans. It was okay. You do you, I do me. So I started the paperwork to get the boys while I was earning my master's degree and getting a divorce.
Oh my God.
I know. So I ended up, adoption takes a minute, especially whenever you haven't done foster care. You have to take all the classes first.
You have to take classes?
Yes.
Where do you take these classes?
Online.
Oh, okay.
And then they come and do home inspections. And then they do interviews.
Who's they?
DCF. Child Protective Services.
I was going to say, here's the abbreviation.
Yeah, DCF,
Child
TFI. Yeah,
Protective
so,
Services.
yeah, and those are two organizations that take care of foster kids, basically. So, foster care agencies. And Department of Children and Family is DCF.
Oh, okay.
So, they come in and they do visits. And it took me like a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
To do the classes?
To do the
I'm sure
classes.
the house was fine or no?
The house was fine.
Right.
But you have to make the appointment for them to come.
So just time. And stuff,
time. And then they come and they personally interview you. And then they interview are your parents going to be part of these kids' lives?
Right.
Yes.
So they go talk to your parents?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So they came and talked to them, and there was just a lot. Like, I thought, man, I'm a teacher. I already have my background checks and stuff. No, it's another level.
Yeah. No, I believe it.
And you have to have reference letters and from people saying that you're going to be a good parent and that you're ready for this. For me, I needed, they had to have doctor's reports saying that my health was clear and everything based off that. So all that happened. And then I got the boys.
What was that like?
Well, you go from no kids to preteens. It's interesting. It was interesting.
You got 3 of them, didn't you?
I got 2.
You got 2.
I got 2. So I had the 2 boys. It's interesting. I just remember the first time I did laundry, and you're learning how to be a mom, but not with this infant. You're learning how to be a mom with kids that remember. As an infant, if you mess up, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't remember.
Yeah.
But I was doing laundry and I folded all their clothes and stuff. This is before I learned that, no, I'm not doing any of that. You're doing your own. But there was a week's worth of laundry and there were 2 pairs of underwear. And I was like, boys, we need to have a conversation. I know you're going into the shower every night. I see clothes in your hands, but I don't know. And that was my moment that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a boy mom. And I don't know,
Right.
I have to have those conversations with them it was so different, even my Walmart order when it was just me.
Oh, yeah.
It was nothing,
right.
So grocery shopping, planning around school events. You get thrown into the deep end quickly. And teaching did not prepare me. You think it does. It's totally different as a parent.
They're coming home with you.
They're coming home with you. And then it's even different at home. It's not like classroom management,
right.
I can use some of my love and logic, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
So it was different. It was really different.
And you got 2 of them too, and they're in similar age,
10 months apart.
Yeah.
And when I tell people that, I always say it wasn't me because they look at me like, are you kidding me?
How did you do?
Yeah, exactly. What's wrong with you?
Right.
And I'm like, it wasn't me. And they have
Right.
the same mom, different dads. So yeah, so it was interesting. Elijah adjusted pretty quickly and pretty easily. Sebastian did not. It took him a minute to kind of adjust, and he's still adjusting at times.
Yeah.
Yep. But he's also the one that's probably he's got a lot of similarities to me. So
Interesting.
yeah, some of them. He's very stubborn. I'm very stubborn.
Yeah.
And so I always tell him, hey,
You're
you
like
might
me.
be stubborn, but God gave you to the most stubborn redhead for a reason. So I will outweight you. I will outlast you, and I can outthink you because I've done it before you did it. So
That's terrifying. If I was him, I'd be like, okay, I concede.
oh no, he's me. So he goes, challenge accepted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Good.
so
Good
he's
for
me.
him.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
me.
wow.
Once he's channeled in the right direction, he's probably set to be my most successful kid.
Interesting.
But yeah, so but he's also very quick-witted, very funny, and very smart. Very smart. And he has the ability to read people internally, to say oh, they're upset because of this, or I think they feel this way because,
Right.
so he's like that. And Elijah's always just been happy-go-lucky. He's social like me, so doesn't know a stranger and all the things. And then after I've got them, adopted them in August, finished my master's degree in December. Yeah, it's crazy. It was crazy. nuts. And then met Calvin. A year later, got married, got 2 more kids. So I went from 0 to 4.
Oh, okay. That's where the...
Yeah,
okay.
I went from 0 to 4 in about 3 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You really caught up in life.
I really did. I really did. Yeah, I really did. And so, yeah, that's how that all worked out. But all along, God had a plan for everything. And it happened in his timing the way it was supposed to. I would not have been a good mom at 23, 24. I was too selfish. I was too concerned with my career and what I wanted to do. And I wanted to be the best teacher. And the classroom got more attention, even more so than like my marriage did. It was like I was very driven.
When did you get married?
Professionally. 10 days before I started teaching my first class.
I could have guessed.
I know.
It's just cram it all together.
Cram it all together. Let's just cram it all together.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, most 23-year-olds are very selfish. So,
yeah. And I was selfish in a way. Like, I did lots of, work for others and service for others. But I wouldn't have been able to be like, I need to go home because my kid needs me as well. I need to finish this and then I'll go home. Yeah. And as a mom, you need to be like, okay, this is going to have to wait because I need to get home. Yeah, and I couldn't have made that choice. I still struggle. It's still hard for me to walk away. But now I can and say, okay, it'll be all right.
It's not like a bad selfish. It's like, this is the time to grind. This is the time to do this type of work.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
And now you have a full house. And sports and $250 shoes. And
I don't pay for those.
Wheels.
Oh my God, the cars. The cars, they all drive at the same time.
Does everybody have a car?
Yeah, Sebastian doesn't because he's not fully driving on his own yet. But yes, Jakari has a car. Elijah has a car. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's just lots of cars, lots of moving everything's.
It's crazy. It's like it all happened so quickly, and now it's about to like go into another season of life. Where like if they go to a JUCO or like it'll shift again. Like
that's kind of my life. It goes in phases, and it's like super intense. There's no moderation in anything. It's like to the extreme, and then it's like okay.
It's funny because it's to the extreme, and then it kind of like just ends. Right. It just kind of wraps itself up, and you're like, "Well, what's next?"
That's exactly.
And strangely, with you enough, it's like the next thing kind of presents itself. It seems like that, each season of your life.
It does, and that I attribute that to my faith. I'm always like, okay, at the end of all my prayers, I'm like, God, make me who you want me to be, and take me where you want me to go. And so it's like, okay. Now I don't always do very well with relinquishing that, but that's always kind of my
right. That's why you pray.
Here we go. This is what I'm trying. I'm trying, but yeah.
So what do you have any idea maybe of what the things that you'd like to do in the future?
Oh, see, after the kids are gone, I want to continue to climb that career ladder. Like I'm not done. I want to keep going. I need more challenges. I want to make, it's like, I just want to make the biggest impact I can, like the biggest impact possible, and then touch as many people and help their lives as, much as I can. So I don't know what that looks like, but I know I like a challenge. I like to keep moving. I love people, So
no doubt about that.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm open to it.
Maybe the position that you'll have is not even exist right now.
It might not. It might not. You don't know. I
have to wait a couple of years, and then it's like, boom, there it is. It's exactly what we're looking for.
I know. Somebody asked me the other day, one of the kids, like, oh, if you won the lottery, would you still work? And I was like, in some capacity, because I can't imagine not. Like, whether it's like working on grants or, service projects or something. But good God, I couldn't just sit at home.
No, I don't know.
That'd be dreadful.
I could do it for maybe like a week, and then is that too long for you?
I get a solid weekend at home. I'm like, oh, it's time to go. It's time to go.
I got to go to the cigar lounge with the other ladies.
Something. Oh, those are Those are good nights.
You're the one. Nights. You took me to the cigar lounge, but that's definitely sitting around for you. In fact, being 2 hours and 20 minutes into this is actually amazingly impressive.
Thank you. I was preparing.
I've seen some fidgeting, but it's still like.
Hey, I'm still focused. Yeah, I haven't been like squirrel. Yeah.
No, there's no squirrels in here. I hope not.
Oh God, I hope not. That'd be awful.
It's an old building.
Very cool building, though.
It is a cool building.
Very cool.
It is a cool building.
Yeah.
Well, you do a lot of stuff.
I do, but I love it all.
Yeah.
I love it all.
Definitely can tell that you love it all.
I do. I love it all, from Ed Rising to my Grow at Eden. You can't have a bad day and walk into like a preschool or little kid room when they are so excited to see you and they hug you and love you. Like, you can't. You just can't. So when I go out there, it's great. And I believe in good childcare, and it's a great childcare facility. It's like Montessori inspired. Well, you've been there.
I have, but what does that mean?
So it just means that it's like very healthy food, and then it's a lot of like play while you're learning. So they have actual lessons. So even like the 12-month mark, they're doing lessons with these kids. And so crazy to see a 1.5-year-old kid sitting at a table in a little chair, eating on a glass plate, and not be strapped in because they don't believe in that. So they literally sit there and eat. And I'm like, this is better than my teenagers. And then when they're done, they put their plates in the tub. And I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
I would never have believed it till I saw it. But they do lots of social interactions, lots of independence. Like, they really want kids to be independent. And they are. They are. So lots of outdoor play. No screens. There's not a single screen in that whole facility. And you won't watch a movie. You won't. Right. No, there's no screens because it's all about play. So it's really refreshing to walk in and see kids just playing with toys and outside.
Well, it's kind of weird.
It's
wonderful. You would think that that's how it should be.
It's like a step back in time.
Yeah.
They eat lunch. They go brush their teeth. And you'll see all the kids in there they each have their own little tub of like their cup and their wash rag and their toothbrush. And they're in there brushing and doing whatever. And you're like, oh my God.
How, like at that age group, that doesn't seem to be a very common thing to be able to do that kind of stuff. How does Grow at Eden accomplish that? Like, how do you get the smallest children structure? Like, repetitive.
Yeah.
And they're smart enough, or they're capable enough to pick up on this structure.
They do because they just practice it. Like, you practice everything. You want to pick up your toys? Let's practice picking up our toys. And then you get them out. Let's do it again. Let's get them out. Let's do it again. And then it's like, this is what I do.
Oh, I see.
So it's that learning. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and like lots of hands-on activities. Like the other day I went in and they were washing dishes for fun. Like, they were learning how to wash dishes. So they had like the little tubs out with just water, and the kids were, doing their
playing.
thing. Yeah, they're playing, but they're learning.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah. Like social stuff. It's just
what's the social stuff like for that age group? Like maybe sharing, I guess.
So they might sit down with a partner and be like, we're going to practice sharing. So hand your toy to somebody else. And so
I love this framework, practicing.
It is. Yeah,
we're going to practice.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's
I want to do that more. I want to practice because it feels like it takes away the pressure. We're just practice. We're just playing.
That's exactly it.
We're just practicing. Like, it's everything I do. It seems like everything I do is like,
you need to follow the Facebook page because I'm always putting on there what they're doing and why they're doing it. Like, are you gross motor skills? Are you fine motor skills? Are you learning this? Are you
I mean, I think an adult could apply that to their life, like, if you don't like to
Adults
talk to people.
Adults do need to learn to share.
Yes, to share, but to remove the pressure of life stuff with the framework of practice or play. For instance, like if you're afraid to talk to someone in public, be like, just go practice. Like, this is just practice. You're going to practice talking to this person in line at the coffee shop. It's just practice. Like, I don't know. That's amazing. That's such a profound thought to me.
Yeah. That
you could apply to anything.
Yeah.
And I love that it's washing dishes.
I mean, to anything. It's crazy.
I could use some practice washing dishes too. You should, never mind.
Mm-mm.
But truly, to be able to, I think the dish example to me is so good because nothing's too small.
No, there's nothing too small.
So many times people will, they'll measure against, no one has that problem. Like, just practice washing the dishes.
I mean, try to put a coat on a kid there and they'll be like, no, I've got it.
Wow.
Yeah. So like they even practice putting coats on by themselves. Like the winter coats, they would do a coat flip where they'd put their arms in and they'd try how to flip it around to get around them. Yeah. Don't try to put a coat on them. They're like, no, I've got it. I can do it. And you're like, okay. So they leave little independent people.
Part of me feels kind of like that's what the parents are supposed to do. Like, isn't that what you're supposed to do at the home to learn those sorts of things?
Yeah, and a lot of them do, but think about it. Your kid is gone from you from the hours of 7:45 till 5:30. So if you go home, and kids that age need to go to bed at like 7:30, you got 2 hours, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So like the fact that they are doing it at school and then you can reinforce it at home, or what you're doing at home is being reinforced at school, makes it just concrete. Yeah,
totally. Especially if you're a busy person like most people are. What about the no screens, though?
Love it.
Until what? Until a screen? Like, until what age, though?
Oh, they're not allowed there.
No,
So they're
not at the school. I get that, but like
for me,
well, like I have a couple of like let's see, it's my cousin's kids who I bet they go, I mean, till 18 before they have a phone or anything, and I'm always wondering like, is that going to work out?
You have to do what's best for you. I know that kids don't know how to set their own boundaries because they're just not cognitively capable.
True.
So as a parent, it's your job to set the boundaries that work best for your child. So like out of our 3, there is one of them that would be on their phone or a gaming system every single day, all day, not eat, not do anything but play that game. You know, there's another one that, you know, would, without, you know, watching them on social media, would just go and poke at people for fun and likes to stop, you know. Yeah. And then there's another one that could really care less. So it's just different based on the kids, what they're, but you have to set those boundaries. So the boys, when I got them, they were going into 7th and 8th grade. They had one phone and they had to share it. They had days. God. They had days. Yeah. Because I was like, we're not, you know, we're going to see how this goes with one. And you're going to have days. So every other day they had to share the phone. But it's always been locked down. So I've always had an app on there that monitors, you know, language or content, because kids are curious, and if you leave it without anything, don't be surprised what they look up, good, bad, or otherwise. I mean, it could be like stuff like bad stuff, but even like factual things that they think are facts, you know, like, oh, I read that this country is going to send a nuclear bomb, you know, like, and whatever, they can look up anything, and then they could get scared or whatever. That's true. And then time limit, because they don't know how to set their own. So from the very beginning, they've had time limits, which is why, like...
How long?
So it used to start out, it was like an hour and a half on social media platforms.
That's pretty long.
For the day.
That's pretty long. I don't spend that much time on social media.
I bet you do.
No,
I bet if you looked at TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat...
An hour and a half?
I bet you'd be surprised.
I'll have to afterwards.
You'd be surprised.
I don't feel like I do, though.
Okay. You might not, but it would surprise you how quickly the time goes. Just like 5-10 minutes here, 5-10 minutes there.
Unless we count YouTube as social media. Do we count YouTube?
That's entertainment, and that's an hour and a half.
And I'm listening to it.
Doesn't matter. It's an hour.
Okay, I'm going to burn through that in about an hour and a half.
Yeah. So time limits, I think, were big. And then I pay for the phone. So the lock codes, I set them up. The boys know them, but I set them up. And I am going to look through your phone at any given time. And if I see something I don't like, it's mine. So, yes, I run a tight ship. It is strict, but it's taught boundaries. So now, my 2 that I started with, you know, they are not on their phones all the time. Really? They are not glued to them all the time. And they know mom's going to check it, so I better not even send it. Right. And do you know how many issues I've had with parents calling me saying, your kid said this or your kid did this? None. Yeah. Because I have ran over a phone in the Dollar General parking lot before. So if I say I'm going to take it, they know it's legit.
On purpose?
Yes. Sebastian, he was running his mouth as he does. Yeah. And I'd had it. He had pushed my limit, and 11 logic was not working. And so I said, you need to shut your mouth and be quiet because I'm going to lose it on you. And I just said it like that. And he goes, what you going to do about it? And I snatched that phone and I threw it on the ground and stomped on it and then put it behind the back tire and ran over it and went into Dollar General.
What did he do?
I don't know. I left him in the car, but Elijah, we laugh at it now. God. But we laugh at it. And Elijah said his face, he just went, ah!
There's no coming back from that.
And then said, she's going to pay for it. And Elijah said, I bet she's not.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, mom lost it. I just said, that's what I'm going to do. And I did it. And then went in the store, and whenever I had calmed down enough to come back, you know, and now we laugh about it, but
that's checkmate, man.
I didn't yell. Yeah. I didn't say any bad words towards him. Right. It was just like, whew.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
I'm sure he learned a lesson that day.
The next lesson he learned was he was acting real entitled. I deserve this. I'm like, you deserve a house. You deserve to be loved. You deserve food, and you deserve clothes to keep you warm. That's what you deserve. Now you can earn other things. I deserve, to have these Jordan whatever. Oh, no, you don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, I deserve to be able to go out with my friends and do whatever. And he was in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching The Cosby Show, which I'm pretty sure is where my parents got their parenting from. So I drove back into that. So I went in and took all of his nice clothes and left him with 4 outfits. And he was in there just happy as can be, like, oh, watching his Wild and Out, like, oh, this is the best night ever in the living room. And I'd gone in his room and taken it all and put it in trash bags and took it to my parents' basement. So the next morning he got up and tried to get dressed for school.
Ooh.
Where did my clothes go? And I said, you have what you deserve. If you'd like to earn the rest back, every day that you are good and respectful and kind, you will get a piece of clothing.
Oh my God.
Of your choice.
Yeah.
So
that's
was a deserve
another
and earn.
great lesson. Mm-hmm. Your lessons are so creative. Cleaning, taking things from them, destroying phones.
Oh, the phone was not. That was just the mom losing it. And every parent has a story where they have lost it. I have one friend. She's like, she said, I had this glass ashtray, and this was, she's an older friend of mine. Her kids are actually my age. She's like, and I just lost it and chucked it at the wall, and it shattered, So every mom has this moment where they lose it. I remember my mom, it was like some candy bowl or something. She just flew it off the counter and she went and locked herself in the bathroom and she's like, call your grandparents to get you.
Oh my God.
So every mom has it. Every dad has it. You're going to have a kid that's just going to push your buttons to the extreme. Mm-hmm. So mine was I ran over a phone.
My mom chased me with a broom. And I turned around. I was like, "Holy shit! I have never seen this before."
You pushed her.
I was faster than her, but at the same time, like, if I stop at all, I'm gonna get beat with this broom.
Yep.
I did push her.
Yeah, but on the flip side, the kids are doing very well. They have 4.0s, all 3 of them. They're all part of National Honor Society. The 2 that aren't playing the spring sport, they work full time or not full time. They work, part time at the grocery store, and they keep their job. Elijah. And Jakar, they pay for their own gas. They pay for their own oil changes on their cars. Awesome. Yeah. And so, I mean, they turned out to be very well-rounded. They're very respectful at school. We have 0 issues. They volunteer at church to do children's church and vacation Bible school. They go with my dad and mow older ladies' yards in town for free because they need it done. So they know how to work.
They were always good boys.
Yes.
Right? I mean, from the beginning, some of those things sound a lot like
they're just teenagers.
Influenced or whatever.
Yeah,
but I feel like they started good too. So
yeah, they did. They had a great foster family before me. So they were with Martin and Shelley for 4.5 years before me.
Okay.
And they were great. They have kids my age, so I knew them in town, and they were a great family. They, made sure. Martin does construction, so he made the boys work. And kids that know how to work these days, that's like a new thing. The people don't know how to work. Kids don't know how to work these days.
Yeah, well, especially something like construction.
Well, just going out for like labor. More than and I'm like, okay, farm kid again. Like we went to my grandparents. It's what we did.
Huge advantage, honestly.
Yeah, my kids can work. They know how to work, and Martin instilled that with them first. They had a lot of the same rules that I have, so it was a nice transition to. They ran a tight ship too to come to that. And then they took them to church every Sunday, and I just ended up going out to the church where they go, so I didn't have to switch them, but I love it. And when I adopted the boys, Martin and Shelley adopted me. So we spend birthdays together.
That's cool.
Mother's Day, Father's Days. We always, hey, come on over for dinner. A lot of times if they don't have any, like their kids live away. So if they don't have Easter plans or Christmas Eve plans, they're with us. So
that's awesome.
And then whenever their kids do come, they always include us.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And then this summer, I think we might go. One of the girls lives in West Virginia, and she wants the boys to go out to go rock climbing. Yeah, so they still love that. Yeah, so they're still, and they had a house in Florida, but now they have a house in Branson, a lake house, and they take the boys to the lake house, and they still, if I'm out of town and they need, hey, I need somebody to watch the boys, whatever. So they're still an active part. But Martin's parents had done foster care in Parsons for years. They were like one of the very first foster families I knew about that took lots of kids. And one of the kids that they took, his name was Tommy Miller, and he was in my kindergarten first grade class, and he was in trouble all the time for being bad whenever I was in trouble for talking too much. So we were on the wall all the time. Oh. So Tommy was one of my best friends. Right. So I'd be like, Mom, can Tommy come over? Yeah. So he was one of my best friends. But I just remember sitting there in grade school and listening to him talk about how badly he wanted a family and how he, was just so hurt that, with his situation, and listening to him. And it broke my heart. And it was like, that's when I knew I wanted to adopt a kid someday.
Wow.
because I was like, because I saw my friend hurting.
Right.
And I wanted to, I was just like, oh, he just needs a family. He just needs a family. He just needs a family. So like, if I can be a family for a kid, little did I know, God was prepping my heart for what was coming my way.
Yeah, right.
So Tommy's foster family was actually Martin's parents.
Whoa.
So it was like this big full circle moment.
Wow.
And I still talk to Tommy to this day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I told him like, hey, I'm adopting kids. And it's like, hey, it's from Martin. He's like, my brother Martin. And I'm like, yeah. So yeah.
That's incredible.
I know. What a cool full circle moment.
Right.
Yeah. And when Seb's being challenging, I'm like, you want to talk to Tommy? He'll tell you to straighten up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And he has. So.
Does he live in Parsons as well? Or?
No, he lives I think now up by the Kansas City area. He has a ton of kids. Good dad. I don't know if they're married, but he has a wonderful either fiance or wife. I don't know, but very good. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a very cool story.
Very full circle. He had the best like flat top I've ever seen. So I went to like the rural school. Yeah, I went to the rural school, and he was the only black kid I went to school with.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought it was so cool. And my kids are mixed, so
Yeah,
it's I didn't know. Yeah.
Huh. That's again back to the Educate Kansas. One of the things they always talk about, especially the smaller schools. I think like the bigger ones don't mention it as much, but the smaller schools for sure is the power of community. And then you know it. They will always say it.
Yep.
And that I mean, I could probably put word for word of every interview that we've done and just put them on top of each other.
Yeah.
And the way they talk about community is like, yeah, that's exactly what this person said. And not in a bad way. And like in an incredible way of like, that
There's
is
something to a small community.
There really is. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a pattern across all these schools. Like so-and-so is going through a tough time. You're a cancer.
Oh
Everybody
my gosh.
steps up.
I can't
People have said
even.
that. You know?
Yes.
People have said that.
Oh, the amount of money people did, or just like the gifts or the thoughtfulness. It was just unreal. It was unreal. It was just like, it was just crazy. I would get a bill and then somebody would be like, here, we did this fundraiser. Here's this check.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
What a nice like thing to be not worried about.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. And for a couple years after, I did a couple Survivor. It was before COVID. COVID kind of threw everything off.
Absolutely.
But I did Survivor luncheons in October. And so it was anybody in town that was a breast cancer survivor, we would get together and we would have a luncheon. And every year, whether I catered it from wherever, somebody would find out and pay for it.
Wow.
Yeah. It was just unreal. So people were just so kind, and like to not just me, but for everybody. They're like, oh, we're having this luncheon. And so I'd go to pay and they're like, no, we had a couple people come in and ask if they could pay. Wow. Because I'd advertise it, wherever.
Right.
So I would get to tell everybody, hey, this is what happened. And everybody would share these stories about how people had touched their lives. And then you just are like, well, I want to give back. What can I do?
No, I mean, that goes back to your people need people philosophy.
Yeah.
It's very true. Seems like everybody wants to be a part and everybody wants to help. I mean, they might not have all the money in the world, but it's like people are eager
even just
to be
people,
a part.
like if you have somebody going through a tough time, a text message goes such a long ways just to, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
So some people, because it's really, you kind of really see who's there, and sometimes it'll shock you who isn't, and they go quiet, not because they don't want to be, but because they don't know what to say or do. And I always tell people, send that message then, because it's much better to hear from somebody, I don't know what to say or do. Send that message versus no message at all, because I can deal with I don't know what to say or do, because my response would be like, dude, I don't either, but thanks so much for reaching out.
Yeah.
Do you want to watch some stupid comedy? Like that would have been
right.
a response versus I didn't hear from you. So I always tell people, be
Right.
truthful.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do for you. That's better than nothing.
Yeah. Anything's better than zero.
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
that's great. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
You're a pretty awesome person.
I don't know about that. But
Well, I do.
Well,
and
thank
I'm
you,
glad I
Colton.
met you. And
I know my work brother. I love
yeah,
it.
I enjoy working with you, and getting to know you has been a lot of fun. So
Same.
Yeah.
Same. All the videos and stuff. I still think you need to be in a classroom, but that's just me.
well, I go to film in the classroom, so that's a good enough.
I don't know. I just have this inkling that there might be a classroom in your future.
Did you know my great grandpa's in the Kansas Teachers Hall of Fame?
I did not.
Yeah, he is John W. Garing. He was at least a principal, if not a superintendent. I think he's principal of a school, but he's in the Kansas Teachers Hall of Fame.
Okay, that's super cool.
Yeah.
You have this whole legacy of it's in your blood.
Yes, but I can teach really well on the things I care about, but I can't do the system. So
Oh my gosh.
I want to be Plato or Socrates. I'll just go into the town square and be like, who wants to talk about AI?
Oh,
or the
my
podcast.
Lord.
The podcast is a great way to teach people too.
But you know how many kids would relate to you in a system going, I don't like the system. They'd be like, yeah, me neither. And then they just learn.
Possibly. I'm not ruling it out. I'm 35. Maybe it'll work out. Who knows? You never know.
Even just part-time here,
Part-time. That's what my mother-in-law's like, the kids would love you. You got tattoos and earrings. I'm like, I'll sub for a day or something.
Hey, you get paid good money to sub.
Yeah. From what I saw, it wasn't too bad.
No, you get paid really good money to sub. So, I don't know. So what's next for you, Colton?
We're going to wrap this podcast up. That's what we're going to do.
All right. Oh, did we make it?
No, we still got some. We can go for as long as we want.
Oh, we made it.
Oh, we're 2.5, 2:43.
Oh, I was nervous about that.
I knew you'd do great. Let's see. Can people get involved with anything that you're doing?
Oh, yeah. People
Like
can get involved with anything.
What sort of opportunities are there for?
So if you want to support education, but you don't want to be directly involved with education, adopt a classroom or a teacher.
How you can adopt how do you do that?
You call the district and you say, hey, you got any teachers that need anything? Or
Really?
And so I always encourage superintendents to do an adopt a teacher where people in the community can adopt that teacher for a year. Send them a text message or an email or a card once a month on teacher
What if we make a website for like a teacher and a classroom, and we put all their like needs and stuff,
I think they
and a
have
Bitcoin
that.
wallet?
Oh, I don't know if they have a Bitcoin wallet, but I think they have that.
They need one.
There's a lot of sites for that.
Oh, there are?
Yeah, there's several
Like-
where you can put stuff. Yeah, there's like
a GoFundMe, but for teachers? or
yeah,
something?
like where you can get classroom stuff. Amazon does wish lists. So there's
Yeah,
lots
yeah.
of things like that.
Okay.
And then Donors Choose is the one that you can go and see people that are trying to raise money for different things. There's a bunch of different ones.
Yeah, okay.
But even if you just take donuts to a school and say, hey, this is for your staff today. Or take a case of water, like bottled water, because so often we're so thirsty. And then there's only tap water, and it's really gross,
Okay. So
I mean, simple little things. Like, we always are out of pencils. Never have enough pencils. Take some pencils and expo markers.
yeah.
So it doesn't have to be big. Just drop them off there. And then I just always challenge people in your community, look to see where there's a need. And it doesn't have to be huge. It can even be with your time. So, there's so many different things. Like, a lot of communities have different opportunities where they do like senior food lunches or packing. Like, our church does it on Tuesdays. Or we have a care cupboard that does like hygiene items, and you can go in and pack ahead of time. And I make the kids do that. It's fun. So. And there's different organizations that you can do. We have an honor flight, so people can support honor flight, which is the veterans, which, I got to go on honor flight. That was a whole nother 3 hours. It was phenomenal. Tears everywhere.
Yeah.
But you can always find ways to give, and it doesn't have to be huge. It can even just be a card or a text message or an email, to anybody. Doesn't have to be big.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about just giving pencils, to a school.
Oh my gosh. It's a hot item. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. You don't think it's a big deal, but whenever you're trying to teach and you've already spent 30 of your own dollars on pencils, and you're like, I just need a pencil, and I've already spent $30.
Right. No, it's such like a easy but helpful thing that I guarantee there's hundreds of people in a small community that would be like, I'll do that,
Yeah.
I would give some bottled water. Like, I take bottled water to the jiu-jitsu gym. Like, we all rotate. Like, hey, it's your turn to get water. It's like, okay, I like that.
Yeah. Or
good
snacks. Like, hey, I picked up this 30-pack of trail mix for you.
30 pack.
Hey, those are cheap at Sam's.
Yeah.
They're like $9. So it doesn't have to be big. Or even a card that just says, hey, teachers, I know you're working hard. Thank you so much for what you do. Just know that people see you and you're appreciated. And leave it in the
Anybody
teacher's
could use
lounge.
one of those.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Like healthcare workers, whatever,
Oh,
whomever.
yeah. And the essentials.
Leave it in your mailbox for your postman. Whatever.
Yeah.
Before the kids leave every day, I say the same things, hoping that it gets in their head. Have a good day. Make good choices. And be a blessing to somebody today. Love you.
That's
and
good.
then some days, if I'm not mad at them, I say, I'm proud of you. Depends on how the night before went.
Exactly.
Yeah, but those are the things I always say. So I guess that's my challenge. Be a blessing to somebody in your day. Just one person every single day.
That could be the 3,000 kids that you influence.
It could be so simple as opening up a door for somebody that's got a shopping cart full, and you say, hey, I hope you have a good day today.
Right. Like go out of your way to say something. Yeah. To make a connection.
Like, I don't know. Last time I was in TJ Maxx, oh, God bless this mom. She had kids that were crying, whatever. And I could tell she was embarrassed and she was struggling.
Right,
I just went up to her and I said, girl, we have all been there. You are doing a good job. You're going to make it through this, and they will not kill you.
Yeah, no, that's
and
good.
she started laughing and smiling. She goes, thank you. I said, yeah. I said, we all been there.
That's
it's
good.
okay.
Yeah, you freed her. That's amazing.
Because you're so embarrassed in that moment. Or you think, oh my gosh, who's looking at me, or who's judging me, or who's doing this? And it's like, listen.
Like, I'm not a bad mom.
No, you're not.
Right.
You're
but
not.
You feel
you're
that.
having a moment.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Like going out of your way to save someone like that. That's good.
Yeah, we all need saved at one point or another.
Amen. All right. Let's end it there. That's too good.
All right. Sounds good.
The life motto of go out there and bless somebody. That's
be a blessing every single day. I made it. I made the 3 hours.
You made it. 2 hours and 48 minutes.
No, we're rounding up.
Listen, it's close enough. All right. If people want to get involved with anything you do, should they reach out, Facebook or?
Yeah, they can reach out on Facebook. Educate Kansas has a website. Honor Flight has a website. Educators Rising Kansas has a website. So, and a Facebook. All those places have everything. So, yeah.
If you you want to be a teacher, if you want to support education, or you want to be involved, just reach out to any of those.
If you know somebody that's fighting breast cancer or has breast cancer,
too,
reach out to me and I will hook you up with anything that you need or directions or whatever.
That's amazing. You're amazing.
I don't know about that. Or adoption, or I don't know.
Yeah, right. Or you just need a pep talk. Just lift me up. Or you need a good lesson.
I don't know.
She will crush your phone. No.
Yeah, don't take me off. I'll run over it. Me and my Explorer. Don't mess with us.
No phone is safe. All right, Kayla, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, I enjoyed talking to you, and I look forward to our next meeting at some rural Kansas school somewhere out there.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for listening today. Episode number 86 with Kayla Green. Reach out to her on all the social media platforms or all the websites, Educate Kansas, Educators Rising, and everything else she mentioned. So, again, thanks for listening. Have a great week. Peace.
Sci-Fi wins.